Well, good evening, and thank you for joining us today at the Stafford Candidate Forum for Mayor, City Council, City Council Position 2, 4, 5, and 6, and the Stafford MSD Board. Thank all of you for joining us on Facebook Live and Stafford METV. My name is Christopher Breaux, the Fort Bend Chamber of Commerce Government Relations Division Chair, and I will be your moderator for this evening. I want to thank you for taking time to join us and participate. The five-star accredited Chamber of Commerce is the largest single county Chamber of Commerce in the Houston region. The Fort Bend Chamber represents more than 1,000 members, established in 1972 to represent the interests of our region and beyond. We are now here for the Stafford Mayoral Forum, and I'd like to, we've got our candidates up here right now. They are from your left to right. They are Ken Matthew, Don Jones, Wynn Guerra, and Cecil Willis. Our rules for this evening will be that we will ask questions. You will have 1 minute to reply. They will have timed responses. Rebecca here is our lovely timekeeper. She's going to show you a reminder at 30 seconds. That's a yellow card, all right? And then at 10 seconds, that's a red card. And if you are familiar with soccer, you understand what that means. That means to stop. The timekeeper is going to also show a stop sign. And of course, we know what a stop sign means. And then we're going to end it up with a closing statement of 2 minutes. And I'll keep you posted on that. If in the audience you have a question you'd like to ask, and if we can get to it, please write it down. We'll have staff member of the chamber wandering around collecting questions. And I think we're good. I think we're set. And so we're going to start out, and we'd like to start out today, and I'm going to start, Ken, with you, and I'm going to work my way down the line here. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
My name is Ken Matthew. I've been living in Stafford for the last 41 years. My two daughters graduated from SMSD, that is the only school they know. And in my profession, I am holding a degree of MBA from University of Detroit and BBA from the University of Detroit and a Bachelor of Commerce from University of Bombay. And I've been heading the finance and accounting department for nearly 40 years. Now I am retired, so I can spend more time for the people.
All right.
And I have two daughters and 5 grandchildren.
Very nice.
And my wife is still in there. I don't want to make her mad if I don't take her name. She's there.
Oh, very good. Well, thank you. Mr. Jones.
Yes, my name is Don Jones. I have lived in the city of Stafford since 1980. I am an educator, a retired educator. I was in education as a teacher, as a campus administrator, school administrator, and also an adjunct professor and a program director at the junior college level. I have one son. His name is John Blair Jones, and he also is a product of the Stafford Municipal School District. He went on to graduate from the University of Houston. I am a widower. My wife, Karen Jones, passed away in 2016. I love Stafford. I've spent all of my adult life here. My wife and I bought our first and second home here, and it is a home away from home. Again, I'm from South Bend, Indiana originally, but I consider Stafford my home.
Thank you. Mr. Guerra.
Well, I'm Wynn Guerra. I've been a member of this community since 1978. I built my home here, and I built my family here. That was the main reason I came to Stafford. And I have 2 children, Melissa and Michael Guerra, and a wife of 48 years. And I have been involved in the city in multiple capacities, and that's Mayor Pro Tem several times. I am now president of the EDC, and I've been there for 7 years, and I plan to be your next mayor and bring the future to the front, and we can do this. And that's to tweak our economic model. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Willis?
Thank you, Mr. Bro. First, I want to thank the residents of Stafford who are here or watching on TV. I want to recognize the Fort Bend Chamber for hosting this, Mr. Bro for trying to moderate this, and our wonderful staff at SME TV and the city staff. I'm Cecil Willis, and I am running for re-election as your mayor. I moved to Stafford in 1975. Our 3 children graduated from SMSD. I presently have 8 grandchildren. All of us have been around for a while, so we have a record that you can judge who is best qualified to be your next mayor. And hopefully tonight, from the conversation and listening to the answers, we will help you make a more informed decision as who is the most qualified to occupy the highest position in your government. So I'm committed, I'm dedicated, and I have the experience. And I must say this, some of you in town may be surprised that I'm standing up here, because I know you've had people knocking on your door telling you that I'm not running and can they put a sign in their yard. I have been running, I am running, and I will be running till the last vote is in the box. So thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Cecil. We've got 4 candidates with a lot of experience, and it's apparent you all love Stafford. It's evident, rather, you all love Stafford. I'm going to start back down on your end. Mr. Willis, why are you running for mayor?
I am running for mayor of this city because it is my home. It's also the home of my 3 opponents. I love Stafford. I love the people. I've watched tremendous change over the years in Stafford. I think we're positioned to do greater things, but most importantly, it's because the city and the school district working together have the opportunity to create something that no one else in this state can create, because we are the only municipal school district. And we have often said, as the district goes, so does the city. So that's why I'm running.
Wynn, same question. Why are you running for mayor?
Well, first of all, it's very similar to Mayor Willis's opening remarks. I have the experience. The only difference is that I'm not the mayor, but I was an acting mayor for the portion of the time that our past mayor left office. With that, I've also been the president of the EDC, which articulated the grid. And that brought, let's say, cash funds to our city, which runs on 0 property tax. It was not by myself, with the economic director and the help of our legal counsel. But I'm also want to tweak our economic model so we can continue to perpetuate 0 property tax for the homeowners. There's a equation here that there's a lot of people on this city's back that are not being really helpful to run the city at 0 property tax. And I want to make them accountable. With that said, we have a bright future. Let's take advantage of a disadvantage and turn it against the odds. And let's go forward with all the things that this city needs, from police and fire protection to the Parks Committee. Thank you.
Don, same question.
Yes. I'm running for mayor because I believe that there is a need for a new mayor for a new Stafford. My opponents, all three of them, have been on the city council for a very, very long time. Ken for 20 plus years, Wynn for nearly 25 years, the mayor longer than that. And they have served this city to the best of their capability. But we have to recognize that there is a need for change. The status quo is just not good enough anymore. As a school administrator, that is not the way that I managed or led. We always had to think forward for the betterment of the city based on what its needs are. And so therefore, vote for me being a new mayor for a new Stafford.
Thank you, sir. Ken,
Thank you.
why should you be mayor?
Why I should be mayor?
Why are you running?
The reason for to have an efficient, effective administration so that the people can benefit. And you need to know the discipline. You need to know where the money is going to come from, and you have to concentrate on that one rather than spending your time for something else. For example, our lifeline is sales tax, and we have to work towards how we can get more money from the sales tax, and there are several steps as we go on. I will explain more about it, how we can go about and get it better than now.
Thank you, sir. All right, with that round, remember we're having, these are 1 minute answers. Please watch the timekeeper here. Don, I'm going to start with you. What should the city of Stafford stop doing right now?
We have to stop pretending that we are in great financial shape. It's very difficult. Where we're located, geographically located, it is right now a very competitive market as far as maintaining our city services, primarily our fire and police department. We're finding that the other communities that surround us, we really can't compare ourselves to those communities. But what we have to do is look at our economic model and make sure that we make the adjustments that are needed to compete to the best of our ability so we can retain our critical staff personnel, because we have been losing our police and our firemen in particular, and as well in other departments also, the Public Works Department. It's just a need for us to realize that we're going to have to do better.
Thank you, sir. Wynn, same question. What should the city of Stafford stop right now?
Well, first of all, we are falling behind on a lot of the maintenance. I profess that we need to increase our funding so we can increase drainage, street repairs, and replacement. Also, improve our parks. They're good, but we can make them better. I see that our parks have just walking trails and gyms for 10 and below. We need to increase that to 10 to 15, that age bracket. With that, I would like to improve that, plus, of course, fund our police and fire adequately to the limit that it's the same within our neighborhoods. And I appreciate that.
Thank you, sir. Ken, what should the city of Stafford stop doing right now?
You want the straight answer from me?
I do want a straight answer from you.
Because we are saturating our city with warehouses and factories. I am not against warehouses and factories, but our lifeline is sales tax. Warehouses, and for the namesake, are they contributing little bit? Yes, 2 to 3% of the total revenue come from these warehouses and factories. Somebody can claim and say, oh, we are getting money too, but where are we getting more money from retail sales? Since we don't have the property tax, we have to concentrate on that one where we get more money from the sales tax, so promote retail business.
Thank you, sir. Cecil, what should the city of Stafford stop doing right now?
Right this minute.
This minute.
Right this minute, we need to stop implying that Stafford is going to hell in a handbasket. Period. You can have any opinion you want. The numbers, the audit, everybody is saying that's not true. The second thing is the elected officials of this city need to learn how to cooperate, have a conversation constructively, and move forward. There are some other things we can do in tweaking our comprehensive plan and zoning, but Stafford is moving forward in many areas, and I hope we get to explore those tonight. And I assure you, we are not filing for bankruptcy.
Thank you, sir. Wayne, I'm going to jump to you next. What should Stafford start doing right now?
Rephrase that.
What should the city of Stafford start doing right now?
Well, I have my own opinion, but we really got to focus on providing more income for this city, period. If we don't provide that income, I'm not saying that the city's going to hell in a handbasket, but the boat's taking in water, and we're deferring a lot of things that need to be taken care of now, because if we don't take care of them now, it's going to cost twice as much with a deferred program. Your continuous improvements is better than deferred perfection.
Thank you, sir. Ken, same question. What should the city of Stafford start doing right now?
To generate more revenue. That's the very first thing. That's everything. And that's I've been preaching all the time ever since I came, since we don't have the property tax. You might be tired of hearing from me because that's the lifeline. Every chance we get, we have to do the more of retail businesses, especially on the major thoroughfare. That's where people can stop by and buy things and contribute to our revenue. And that's what I will do. That's what I will promote, and that's what I am going to do when I became the mayor.
Thank you, sir. Cecil, same question. What should the city of Stafford start doing right now?
Well, I previously mentioned one of them, that is get the comprehensive plan in total alliance with our zoning ordinance. We've got two separate deals, and they need to align. The other thing we need to do, and this is everybody, we need to clearly understand where our revenue comes from. Almost 87% of our sales tax comes from these 5 categories: retail, wholesale, and related. Wholesale and related is those buildings that some people say they don't want here. That's a second producer. Professional and other services, hotel and food, and manufacturing is another thing in those buildings they say nobody wants. We need to understand that we are a complete community. We are not a bedroom community.
Thank you. Don.
The challenge of maintaining the status quo was exposed tremendously during the pandemic. If we are a city that relies on sales tax only, what do you think happens to our economy when the entire business community shut down? It was at that particular point, and almost following the lead of the senior council member at the time, Cecil Willis. For the past 2 budgets, I have voted no for the budget because we have found ourselves at the end of each fiscal year scrambling to pay the bills. Imagine allocating funds to all the departments and then getting toward the end of the year and going to those departments and having them and claw back whatever they have left to pay to keep the lights on. So for the past 2 years, I have decided to vote no for the budget because of this status quo mentality. When they say if it ain't fixed, if it's not broken, it may not to be fixed, well, it's broken.
Thank you, sir. Cecil, down to you. What should the city of Stafford keep doing?
What should we keep doing? Is stay the course, tweak it where we can, improve it. This model has worked, and I want to correct some misstatements already. During COVID, we did not suffer. Go look at the sales tax reports. I don't make them, the comptroller makes them. I inherited a budget with a fund balance of $152,000. That's the budget I inherited. After my initiatives and some new people were put in place, we ended with an audited number of $4.3 million. The following year, it increased by another $400,000. Again, people need to understand the real numbers, and they are not in trouble. They are not going down. The problem is we need to watch how, where, and when we spend.
Wynn, same question. What should the city of Stafford keep doing?
Well, I agree that we should keep our economic model, but like I said, my opening statement, it needs to be tweaked, and it needs to come in with more revenue, and we as the people can walk around and saw and see that our services have diminished. We have areas that are really in very, very bad shape. We have a premier neighborhood that doesn't look like a premier neighborhood. The houses do, but the roads don't. We have 5 neighborhoods that need to be redone, 1 neighborhood that hadn't been touched in 35 years, and then we have 3 other streets that you think you're going into a third world country. We need to take care of that. And at the end of the day, we're not going to do it with status quo. We need to open the door of the future, and that's with an increment coming out of the rental properties, that's 65%. Oh, thank you.
Don, what should the city of Stafford keep doing?
Well, for absolute sure, we should keep our school district at the forefront of our thinking. We have the only municipal school district in the state of Texas, and that is why I am ideal to be the mayor of this city, because we would have an educator as mayor. I have an understanding of a school system that none of my fellow council members can say that they have. And so that relationship alone, I was a former school principal at the school district, so I have an in-depth understanding of how difficult it is to maintain our teaching staffs and keep moving forward. Again, because when we compare ourselves to the other school districts, we find our teachers looking beyond our school districts. So we have to be better. We have to have a quality, sound instructional program like we do.
Thank you, sir. Ken, same question.
Thank you. What we need to do and continue to do, capitalize on the situation, and we have to attract young professionals to come to our city. For that, we need new subdivisions. We cannot saturate non-revenue generating warehouses. When new subdivisions come, young people come, professional young people come, they bring their children, and that is good for the city. And we don't have to rely on outside to have students here. And that's the way we have to go forward. That's got the progressive thinking. Thank you. Okay. And I've been advocating and strongly stressing on it all the time.
Very good, very good. Well, that leads into a question we received from the audience. How do we incentivize young professionals and families to live, grow, and spend time in Stafford? You want to add to what you just said?
Yes.
Okay.
Because we are in such a situation, it is not very attractive for the young people to come. But we don't, like I said, the number one step is the economic situation, the security situation, and they can come and live here. And that should be the way that we going forward. Otherwise, one day our city is going to be empty nesters.
Thank you, sir. Don, same question, and let me repeat that. How can we incentivize young professionals and families to live, grow, and spend time in Stafford?
See, this is the reality that we have. The reality is that we are not, because of our geographical restrictions, our size, we have, and again, what the council member Matthew was saying, there has been a lot of square footage eaten up by warehouses, which really compromised the long-term planning as far as new housing is concerned. But the good news is this: we have built some of the most exclusive apartments in Fort Bend County. They may be the absolute finest. We should be proud of that economic development that is happening right now. But beside that, we should put all of our energy in making our city look much better. I hate to say this, but aesthetically, our city just doesn't look good. We should have a pristine city. We're only 7 square miles. So we should be into a beautification mode of thinking where we make our city shine and make it more attractive.
Thank you, sir. Win.
Well, let's go back in a little bit of history. This city was built on a 40-60 equation. 40% population, 60% retail, commercial, and industrial. For whatever reason, I was not on council, but that's the equation we live with. And that with that, we don't have any room to grow in. But the equation fills those holes that been filled with warehouses. They're not going to bring you the children. And at the end of the day, our enemy is not within us. It's the people in Austin. That's who we have to fight. And at the end of the day, I vote for the school board members to have the custodianship of that school. And at the end of the day, I have my own problems that I have to deal with without sticking my nose in that school other than supporting them. Thank you.
Thank you. Cecil, same question. Would you like me to repeat that?
Yes,
How would you
I love to hear you speak.
How would you incentivize young people, young families to live, play, and spend time in Stafford?
Young families with children are concerned, number one, the school. They can shop on the internet, check out every school in the state of Texas. We have a tremendous school here. We've had our ups and downs. I can tell you we're on the way up. That's number one. We have to get that message out. Number two is work. Number two is don't demean this city. Perception is reality. I learned at some of the meetings I've been to, all these economic locators are watching your televised shows. If you can't get along at council, then they know they don't want to go to your city. The second is keep the no property tax. We have an exemption for residents on their electricity and gas sales tax, and the stop sign went up.
Very good. Thank you very much. Win, I'm gonna get to you right now, and I'm gonna ask a question that I had. What's your thought? What's your strategy? Your thoughts about getting a name brand grocery store here in Stafford?
Well, I've done that as the president of the EDC. I have relatives that are affiliated with HEB, and if you don't know, grocery stores work in circles like ambulances and service and population density population. Hopefully that they will consider coming to Stafford if the EDC was to possibly stop taking care of the city and taking care of the economic growth of this city and buy some land and do a partnership that they come in and they lease that land and build their building for 50, 60 years, and they won't have to pay for the property. Then the city makes a little increment on the lease and then money out of the cash register. That is my plan.
All right. Ken, I'm going to go to you. What are your thoughts about getting a brand name grocery store?
The basic foundation of getting a grocery store is the consumers. When we live around here, we usually go to the nearest grocery store. And now we don't have that situation here. And we have to go all the way somewhere else to have the grocery store. If I am a businessman, I will look and make a study and see whether I can make profit off of that unit. The Kroger at the corner of Murphy Road and Highway 90 left because of the underpass, and our population has been decreasing. And around that place, I'm just giving an example, warehouses came in.
All right. Cecil, same question.
This is the lifelong question since Kroger's left Stafford. Kroger's left Stafford for their economic matrix model. There was nothing we could do. Councilman Guerra spoke appropriately. They have a matrix. Kmart had a matrix. Academy had a matrix. They moved to other locations that fit their corporate matrix. I spent 2+ years communicating with Kroger's and H-E-B's. My final communication was, I will come pick you up, I will drive you around, I will pay for the meal, I'll take you back home. They never responded. Mayor Scarcella and I presented information to Congressman Pete Olson, who presented that information to the head of H-E-B, and he said, thank you, no thank you, you don't fit our model. Stop.
Thank you. Don?
One of the things that I emphasize is that we have to take a common sense approach to these things. I think we all are well aware of the limitations that our city has because of its size. The way it is situated, all of that contributes to this particular issue. I have in my retirement, obtained my real estate license for residential and commercial sales. So I have an understanding what it takes to bring a new business to the city. And the mayor and Councilman Guerra are correct. It has a lot to do with the demographic need. I would like to emphasize and really put a lot of pressure on the current market that we have, that being Walmart. I would like to see them reinvent that, because I have heard where people prefer to go to another exact same business, Walmart. Let's make ours better.
Thank you, sir. Apologize, I look at a question here and then it escapes me. As I get down, no, we're not done. Stop. Don, let's start with you here. How do Stafford's demographics affect the strategic vision of the city?
We must make our demographics our strength. I've been recently, in the past 8 months, I've been the chair of the Juneteenth Committee. And I was challenged by the school board president, a former council member, several people about making it a broader scope, because we always think, because of our demographics and the beauty in that, we always are trying to figure out how to bring us all together. I don't believe we have figured it out yet. I don't have an example I can give you. The Juneteenth example was going to be an example where we were coming together. The 4th of July festival that we have, it's a beautiful collection of all of us together. We must make diversity our strength. We must respect one another and learn to love one another even more than we do now. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Cecil, same question.
I have said for many, many, many years that the strength of this community is our citizens and the diversity of those citizens. We have proven to everybody we can live, work, and play together here. When SMSD opened, some of you won't remember, the newscaster Ron Stone did an expo on the opening day at SMSD and put it on TV in Houston. And one of his opening remarks was, "My God, I walked in there and I thought I was at the United Nations school." That is one of our strengths. And at one time we had a multicultural festival. Hopefully we can get back to celebrating all the individuals in our community. It's going to take a while. We're going to take small baby steps, but I have faith this community will do it.
Thank you, sir. Ken?
You know, the great thing about our city is our racial composition of the city is more or less the same. 25%, 25%, 25%. No, I am not saying exactly that's the thing. African Americans, Caucasians, and Hispanics, and people like me from Asia or some other places together is 25%. But, you know, that's a very, very well-balanced thing, and I'm very proud of it.
Yes, sir. Excuse me. Thank you, sir. Win.
Well, that's one of the biggest strengths we have in Stafford. It's diversity. But at the same time, we have to utilize that strength. And I'm a big component of using every avenue that we can to successfully move business forward. Going back to the grocery store, everybody's represented from those 4 ethnic groups, for the exception of the Caucasians. We have Hispanic stores, we have African stores, and we have Indian stores. We need to focus on how we can bring a store that focuses on all 4, because the Caucasians of this city are being left out.
Thank you, sir. My next question, I'm going to start with you, Ken, on this right here. If you could change one thing about city zoning, what would it be and why?
We rely on planning and zoning administration, and we have put rules and regulations what zone can have what. And if there are some areas along the Highway 90, if we are going to allow warehouses and factories, I would be against it. And if we have to change it, we have to change it. But if the building is already there, it will be very difficult to change it. So that's the way I move forward. But wherever possible, go for it.
Okay, thank you, sir. Win. If you could change one thing about city zoning, what would it be and why?
Well, first of all, we started the comprehensive plan, and since our planner went on to greener pastures, we did not finish the comprehensive. We're working within the old comprehensive plan, and that needs to be tweaked. I have 5 developers that are waiting to see what this election is going to be because they walked. They need to have a business-friendly community they can work with tweaking the zones so they can bring in the businesses. And I'm not saying just filling stations or mom and pop stores, but bringing in big developments that could bring that grocery store that we've been talking about up here on stage. At the end of the day, we need to be a business-friendly community for new business to come in. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Cecil, what would you change about zoning and why?
Well, I alluded to this a little bit ago. We need to get back. We now have a new city planner, very competent individual. We are going to start that process here very shortly now that we've got the staff in place to make sure our comp plan and our zoning plan work together. Right now we have 2 and there's some places they fall apart. I want to make it absolutely clear. We have received standing in council that this is the most business-friendly city that they have cooperated and worked in the surrounding areas. I can't give you one exact example, but there's some areas we need to look at because we keep getting special use permits, and my feeling is if we got everything in sync, those special use permits will go away.
Thank you, sir. Cecil, I'm going to throw this back at you. What's your plan to make Stafford greener in relationship to recycling? Did I? Don, I apologize, Don. Sorry.
You should.
Yes, sir. I humbly apologize,
Okay,
sir.
all right.
Don, talk to us about zoning.
I have something to say about zoning. You keep hearing my opponents talk about tweaking this and tweaking that. You're hearing things like the comprehension plan. We have to have an honest conversation about these things. The comprehension plan somewhat represents the status quo. When the comprehension plan was put together, it was an unbelievable concerted effort that required that we spent tens of thousands of dollars on to create. When the comprehension plan was completed, it should have had something in place where during the budget year, we should have workshopped and updated how the comprehension plan was being implemented. It was not maintained. When Cecil became the mayor, he dusted off that plan and realized that we've got to bring this up to its current functioning status that is relevant to today's Stafford, not 10 years ago.
Thank you, sir. And Don, I'm going to start back with you then, so I don't forget you on this one. What future projects will help advance the economy in the city of Stafford?
Currently, we have one of the greatest economic development areas in Fort Bend County, and that being the grid. The grid is, I would not be able to percentage-wise tell you, it's more, I would say 60% complete. There's a lot more potential that is left in that corridor. So we have to focus on that area and concentrate on making it even better infrastructure-wise as far as accessibility, but the best is still yet to come. And I believe that they're going to continue to invest in that area tremendously. Not to take away from the other, across the freeway, the Technoplex is starting to boom. And not to take away from the frontage that is in front of Promenade that has created new life in our island. So really, Stafford is open for business, folks, and it is happening. So make sure that you go to our local restaurants and enjoy.
Thank you, sir. Ken, same question. What future projects will help advance the economy in the city of Stafford?
Like I said before, we are land saturated. To give you an example, the warehouses we see at the corner of West Airport and Murphy Road, that could have been a place like the corner of Kirkwood and 59, because the same piece of land. When the proposal came from the builders, you can go and check, I voted against the warehouses at that corner. So you are thinking about the future of the city, so you have to take steps to benefit the city and the future of the city. And just to give you an example there, that corner could have been like the corner of Kirkwood and 59.
Thank you, sir. Win?
First of all, there was something mentioned by Mr. Don Jones. The grid is not completed. There's going to be some more transition and more movement there, and we have to do our diligence on the EDC to bring those projects forward for the P&Z and, of course, City Council to approve. I don't feel very confident on the way it's heading because they have not met a lot of the promises they made at the very beginning. With that said, I'm going to hold them accountable for what they said at the beginning that got them where they're at. Yes, we're getting revenue, but at the same time, they're leaving out three major components out of that grid. Secondarily, the grid is already moving forward I'm going to be working with the owners of the Regal Ranch, which is 43 acres. And hopefully I can grab a little bit of that traction to convey the same thing as the grid at Highway 90.
Thank you, sir. Cecil, what future projects will help advance the economy in the city of Stafford?
What future projects? Let's make one thing absolutely clear. No city builds buildings and puts a restaurant, a boutique, or any in the building. A city establishes the land use rules, the building codes, and promotes economic development. Back to the comp plan needs to be in sync with the zoning. I am personally focusing on redevelopment. Stafford is built out. I have no idea where you could put these wonderful subdivisions that's being promoted without tearing residential areas down and rebuilding. We must be ever vigilant on these developers to make sure they're living up to what they advocated they would do. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's see here. Cecil, I'm going to start back with you. In your case, what would be the first thing you'd want to accomplish if reelected?
Well, the first thing I want to accomplish is get reelected. That's number one. As soon as that takes place, I want to establish a relationship with the 3 new city council members that are going to be sitting on council. That's the only fact we know about this election. There will be 3 brand new people sitting in council seats. I want to make sure that they clearly understand the home rule charter, how we operate, the duties, the functions, the responsibility, how elected officials interact with our city staff, which is trying to do the best they can to carry out the direction of council. I want to do a better job in educating people. When the fund balance error goes up, we are not going in the hole.
Thank you. Wynn, same question.
Well, it's going to be similar to Mayor Willis. I got to get elected. And at the end of the day, it's not going to be like a light switch. It's going to take me at least 12 to 16 months to turn this boat in a different direction. And at the end of the day, I have to work with the new council members, for the exception one. She's a veteran and trying to get back in. I don't know if she'll get back in. And there's another veteran council member that's going to try to get in my seat. Well, with that said, there is some accomplishments and some things we have to hurdle. And the thing is, it's going to be turning this boat around. We will have a meeting right here in this building with a PowerPoint, and I will explain everything for the citizens to understand the tweaking and to keep zero property tax for the homeowners.
Thank you. Don.
I will work diligently every day as the mayor to improve the quality of life for all Staffordians by establishing and maintaining an open door policy in order to provide the opportunity to identify, discuss needs, and/or share information that addresses the concerns of our staff and the tax-paying constituents at large. I would support the Stafford Municipal School District's improvement efforts to provide a quality instructional program. One of the things to do for me would be applying a sustainable, common sense approach for fiscal policy in order to consistently maintain an annual balanced budget. I would want to establish and maintain a beautification improvement program and/or system to ensure a clean and well-kept, all green space aesthetic appearance for the city. I keep mentioning the aesthetics of our city. When I was growing up, my father, one of his he had his own business. It was a lawn care business. This was way back in the 70s. And I have this affection for green spaces. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Ken. What's the first thing, what is the, I'm here somewhere, what's the first thing you would accomplish if elected?
It's a very difficult question.
It's a very-
I've been on the council for 17 years.
Yes.
I wanted to accomplish few things, but I am only 1 out of 7. So, you know, it's not that easy. But what I want to accomplish is to have a community where the family can live together, they can send their children to their own school here. You know, this school is the child of city of Stafford. And then that's the condition we have to create. Is it possible? It is easier said than done because, again, like I said before, we are land saturated. That's the big problem for the progress of the city. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, sir. I think I hit everyone. Okay, good. Don, you got me second guessing here, yeah, but I appreciate it. Thank you, sir. I do appreciate it. I'm going to say the P word. Y'all okay with that? Okay. P. As you know, the slogan of Stafford is a city with no property taxes, which has drawn many businesses over the year. Has this been the best policy for Stafford in the long run? And would you propose to change this?
You know, I am for no property tax. But it is, as we go forward, we have to find alternative sources of having more income for the city. It is going to be very difficult. Again, like I said, the warehouses and factories, they are not paying a single penny to the city because we don't have the property tax. But that's the way I want to be. But how it is going to be, not going to be easy. We have to sit together with the economists, financial gurus, and my rest of the colleagues to come up with an alternative plan. But this plan will not work going forward for many years.
Okay. Don, same question.
Can you repeat?
Repeat that question? All right, thank you, sir. The city has well, let me see, it has P word, property taxes. Has, you have the slogan of the city that has no city property taxes, which has drawn businesses over the years. Has this been the best policy for Stafford in the long run, and would you propose to change this?
That's an interesting way that you put that, the context you said the long run. The sustainability of a zero property tax is our challenge. I believe that the zero property tax theory, the economic model itself, as I like to describe these things, is genius. Who in their right mind would not enjoy the benefit that we have of having zero property tax? But I would almost beg to say that Ronald Reagan might snicker at the facts of zero property tax, because you have to look at the status and the health of your economy and base your decision making on that. We must have an honest conversation about our revenue generating model. There may be a need. I was recently talking to the city attorney. He said that Leonard Scarcella never intended for this model to be forever. However, it may be the best.
Thank you, sir. When?
Well, I've been preaching it since this discussion started. I have benefited for this situation of zero property tax. Well, guess what? I've been a homeowner since 1978, and I also was paying property taxes then till the change came. But I think we're at a fork in the road, and I think we ought to implement a property tax, not the property tax, but a fee that will accommodate what zero property tax to the homeowner is not taking care of, the quality of life. If I can get some money for that, and I can move 2 major portions of our departments into that, I can run the rest of the city on our revenue and not touch the homeowner. Not touch the homeowner, zero property tax. But like anything that's good, you have to amend things that are not working from one generation to the next. The way we're going, okay, I didn't see.
Thank you. Cecil.
Repeat, because I want to stay focused on the exact question.
All right. As you know, the slogan of Stafford is the city with no property taxes, which has drawn many businesses over the years. Has this been the best policy for Stafford in the long run, and would you propose to change this?
Well, let me answer your last part of the question. No, no, no. And one other thing, and I was around Mayor Scarcella for many years. He never told me this was not the model. Stafford is 7 square miles. We can't compete one-on-one with the big boys. We have to have hooks, incentives to attract people. You need to understand the economic base this city has built is what supports SMSD. The city creates the tax base. No school district in the state of Texas or the nation are in business to create tax bases. They're in business to provide education. So we need to understand, and some people have gone over, so I'm going to reclaim some of the time. First thing we need to understand, the number 2 provider of sales tax to this city is warehouse and related, period, fact, end. Number 5 is manufacturing. Check the comptroller. It's on the website. It's undisputable. 2 of our 5 are these buildings that everybody's talking about they don't want.
Well, thank you. Cecil, I'm going to come back to you since you're in a talkative mood. What are your plans to address drainage issues in the city's neighborhoods?
We have been working on drainage for years, regardless of what some individuals think. And I'm going to give you the whole engineering theory. Stafford sits at the top of every watershed around here. Water flows out of Stafford. It flows downhill. No drainage structures bring water into Stafford. As we go through these other entities, Houston, Meadows, Sugar Land, Missouri City, Harris County, Fort Bend County, they all have drainage criterias that we have to do something about our water before it can get in their pipe in their city. We have had engineers, every time somebody thinks it's discombobulated, we go out and spend a bunch of money on the engineer. I'm done.
Thank you, sir. Win.
Thank you. Well, as the president of the EDC, we adopted a list of drainage programs that we want to implement. And we're in the middle of having a group meeting to categorize how we're going to take care of these drainage areas. With that, we have our city engineer, Mr. Bob Jones, the mayor and I, and 2 senior members of the EDC. That's how we're taking care of the drainage, but unfortunately, it does not address the residential end. Hopefully, the commercial end will be clear, and some of the residential will flow into those commercial areas, but at the same time, the city has to commit to keeping the clear ditches, cleaning the culverts, and there's some areas that they have not been cleaned or taken care of for over half a decade. And that's what we have to do, a systematic cleaning of our ditches and culverts and our waterways.
Don, drainage.
Well, there's 2 factors that make our entire Houston metropolitan area the same. Geographically, we are in very close proximity to the Gulf of Mexico. That's number 1. Number 2, Houston must be the flattest city in the United States of America. So it is also one of the fastest growing and developing cities, This is what is causing our problem. It's the concrete and where the water cannot go. Those cannot be excuses. I stay in the Grove West subdivision. I believe that every neighborhood should have the same drainage that I have. And guess what, folks? When it rains hard, our streets actually flood. But the design of it allows it to flow off into the tributaries and flow away. We should and want that for every neighborhood in Stafford. That's what we need to strive for.
Thank you, sir. Ken? How do you plan to address the drainage issues in city staff?
It is under the current circumstances, it is not that easy, but we have to do everything possible. The advocate in our city, the one who quite often speaks, is Joe Longoria. He comes to the city council. I don't know whether he is here or not, but he comes to the city council and he tells his problem the issues Linda Street is having. And then I think as a city, we should look at it and we do everything possible. I don't say it is easy, but we have to strive for it and we got to go for it and make the residents happy.
Thank you, sir. Let's talk about green. Let's talk about recycling. All right, Ken, I'm going to start with you down here. What's your plan to make Stafford greener in relation to recycling?
You know, again, when you say greener and greener, how much open land do we have? We cannot make the area of where there is a lot of buildings, we cannot make that greener. But the people who are owning those businesses, we can tell them, make them do the thing, clean it up, do the gardening, those kind of things we can do it. Other than that, that is the best way to do it. Let's try for that.
Thank you. Don, recycling.
One of the things I would like to see is there was a campaign in Texas, 20 years ago, and it was Don't Mess with Texas, and it had to do with keeping the state clean. I hate litter. I despise it. And we're such a small city, when I see it, it kind of stands out. So we should get on a very, make of every effort we can to clean up our streets, to pick up every bit of litter and emphasize, I don't know if we have to get signage, that you do not mess with Stafford when it comes to making it not aesthetically clean. So I like that program. I like the idea of a strong campaign to be litter-free in this city, and for us to be aggressive about those who do violate that and litter.
Thank you, sir. Wynn?
Well, I did my best to hold the trash pickup to that concept. I was outvoted. Well, I'm good with that, and I moved forward. But there's not a community that Wingara doesn't go to, and I'm going to use one of the terms Mr. Willis uses, and I get out of 7 square miles. There's not a community within our, let's say, sister cities that doesn't have recycling by the same company. And all I was wanting is holding their feet to the fire to enable us to have recycling with 2 roll-away trash cans. Then you would have a recycling truck come by and pick up the trash for the recycling and your trash. Then you don't have to take it anywhere but to the front of your home. Or some of the areas in this city have not a curb pickup, but they go to your garage and pick it up. But that's an extra fee. With all that said done, I do advocate recycling, and I don't mean a dumpster somewhere.
Thank you, sir. Cecil?
Help me a little bit, because I've heard 3 different questions and 3 different answers. I want to focus on the question you're asking.
All right, let me ask this question. What is your plan to make Stafford greener in relationship to recycling?
All right, I think I got it. Stafford had a recycling program years and years ago where the city paid the recycling bill. We did that for several years. And then we learned that the company, which we were paying X dollars a month to pick up all the trash, was loading it in the truck and taking it to the landfill. So there was no recycling except a recycling program by name. Recycling is absolutely the correct thing to do for this city, every city in this planet. The problem is somebody's got to pay for it. I heard just recently the minimum is $350 a month for every home in Stafford. Whether you use it or not, you pay it. So it comes down to how many people are willing to pay for recycling that they don't use.
All right, thank you, sir. Here's a question I think pretty important. This person would love to know if the new mayor of Stafford will open Stafford back up to mobile vending. The big plot of land where we do fireworks every year would make a great food truck park. It would bring people from surrounding areas to Stafford for the additional cuisine options. Mayor, I'm going to start with you.
Now, are we talking about parking a bunch of food trucks somewhere? Is that what we're talking about?
I believe so.
Well, sometimes I have to understand. You need to understand when all these food trucks come in, they'll pay a small fee and they'll take all the money away from all of our restaurants that you've heard everybody trying to promote here. I'm not against it. I've been to many cities. In fact, Fredericksburg, Texas has one of these, and it does quite well on the weekends. They're not there every day. They come occasionally. It's like a little festival field. So I think it's something we need to look at. But they bring in 40 food trucks, make up a number. They're in competition with every restaurant that did the buildings, put the investment in, and is paying taxes to run our school district, and trucks roll in and take the product away. It has to be studied.
Thank you, sir. Win?
Thank you. That idea has crossed my mind several times. And one of our sisters, no, two of our sister cities, maybe three, have a food truck, let's say festival, that brings the community together with movies for the kids or music for the adults to dance to. And they bring the different food trucks there for a day or an evening. And what it does is just brings us together as a community, regardless of how diversified we are, because they all have different things to feed the population. And then they bring a venue for the children to watch a movie on a screen, and then you have music that you can dance by in the evening. With that is what they call uniting our population, regardless of what you are. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Don, food trucks.
Food trucks. What an interesting business concept. Recently, I challenged the city council to come up with new ideas to generate revenue, and I don't think that we ever touched on this. However, I would like to look at the business model and get an understanding of what type of revenue this would generate, because we don't want to dismiss what might be a good idea. The reason that I have this frown on my face is because when I opt to eat at a food truck, it's normally not even a second option. It's almost a third. Yeah, I can't put it in the top 5 options of places that I normally would eat. However, I've had some of the best barbecue sandwiches from a food truck that you can possibly imagine. But I don't eat that often, so I love the idea. I'm a breakfast taco connoisseur. I'll go anywhere for a breakfast taco. So I would have to study that business model.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much. Ken, give us your take on food trucks.
You know, in the beginning I was not very in favor of it, but you know, the variety you are getting, you know, you go to the food truck and get it and eat it, A few times I did it, I liked it. But at the same, but at the same time, it cannot be allowed everywhere because we have the traffic, we have the congestion, and it should, if those things can be taken care of, this is another option that we can give to the people and they will enjoy it, the kind of a food they like.
Thank you, sir. Let's tell me this. How would you, in your own words, describe the quality of life in Stafford?
The quality of life, I've been in the city for 41 years, that it must be good. So I would say the quality of life in Stafford is good, but at the same time, are we getting everything? The social services, all kind of a thing, are we getting it? Yeah, you know, it can happen, and we can still improve it. But I think, generally speaking, the quality of life in Stafford is good.
Thank you, sir. Don.
In a word, I would say peaceful. I find myself, and I moved to the South Meadow subdivision in 1988 where we purchased our first home. We stayed in that home for 14 years. I have established some of the best friendships I've ever had in my life from that neighborhood. I can think of Al and Linda Mock right now, who I consider a big brother and a best friend. We then moved to the Grove West subdivision where that quality of life continued, and a peaceful quality of life. I've talked to the police chief about making a point that we should let everyone know that how safe our neighborhoods are and how secure they are. And I attribute that to the police department and all of our public services and our citizens, of course. It's just a peaceful neighborhood.
Thank you, sir. Win.
Our quality of life is pretty good. It's not excellent, and it's something that you have to strive for. Quality of life is driven by money. If everything's fine within the door of your home to the back door of your house, that's wonderful. But you got to step outside into the sidewalk to start with that. Sidewalks need improvement or fixing them. Our roads need to be refurbished. Our parks need to be manicured a little better and protected for fire ants because our kids are getting bit. Our spray machine needs to come by at least once a week. Our sweeper needs to work, not just the vacuum, but the brushes. So with that said, we have some hurdles to jump and move forward and not worry about how we're going to achieve it, but achieve it through an economic model that's going to work.
Thank you, sir. Cecil, in your own words, how would you describe the quality of life in Stafford?
I believe the quality of life means different things to different people. But to me, the most important one is your health, your safety, and your welfare. You can have all the whistles and bells you want, but if you're scared to sleep at night, go out at night. We are very blessed to have an exemplary police and fire department. Our fire department has an ISO rating of 1, the highest in the nation. Our police department just received their second award in the past 5 years for the way they operate the police department. We can dine here, we can shop here, we can play here. We have entertainment centers like the Stafford Center and this center, and our parks are fine.
Thank you, sir. Don, I'm gonna let you start off the. I was gonna make a baseball analogy and I just stepped all over it. I'll stop that. I'm gonna let you begin with our final question, and we've got a 2-minute. We've got a 2-minute limit on that. we can give you a little. If I'm asking too much on here, I want to know what the single most important reason that you should be elected to serve as the mayor of Stafford, and why your style of leadership is good for Stafford right now.
Yeah. The L word, leadership, that's exactly what I'm running on. I am concerned about the leadership and some of the things that I have seen with this mayor in the past 2 years as far as being the leader. Nothing against him personally, but everyone is not a leader. And I have, as a follower, looked to that person to be a role model for me to have an understanding of what direction we're going. What is the vision, short term, long term? How are you actually accomplishing those things that you set out as goals? For instance, diversity. What have you done? What have you done other than recently vote down the idea of having a Juneteenth festival just last night? So the people deserve a person that is going to lead them by example, and I believe that I am that person, and I consider myself, and we should, hopefully you will consider that we need a new mayor for a new Stafford.
Thank you, sir. Win.
First of all, my age is 68 years old. I want to give this city 2 or 3 terms so that the next mayor doesn't have the problems that we have right now. Make it easier for him. Secondarily, I have a vision. And with having a vision, you have to have a plan. I do have a plan. And that's to make a Stafford as strong as it's always been, but better. It's good, but let's make it better. There's a situation here, yes, we're getting things done, but at the rate we're doing, some of us in this room are not going to be around when they finish. They need to be expedited and controlled in a better way. At the end of the day, there's too many things in this city that need to be addressed and expedited. And at the end of the day, I think that I can bring you that leadership into the future. Let's do this. I am a leader. I've had my own business since 1982. I've lived through several recessions. I deal with budgets. I deal with quality in my business. I deal with 50 children. I have my kids, and then I have 50 children I have to control. And guess what? I have something above these men here that I'm not putting nothing down. I make a check. On the right-hand bottom corner, Wingare has been writing that check for 42 years, and none of them have bounced, and I've always taken care of the employees first. And that's what I want to take care of in the city. Take care of our employees, take care of our public servants, take care of our public safety, and everything that goes with it from the top to the bottom. I want to open the door for the future of Stafford. Thank you.
Thank you, Win. Ken, what's the single most important reason you should be elected to serve as the mayor of Stafford, and why is your leadership style what is needed now?
I strongly believe to be a leader, you have to be the servant of the people. What we see in politics right now, once they get elected, they are forgetting about their campaigning on the basis of, I am going to be the servant of the people, I will do everything for it. Once they get elected, they are doing everything for themselves. And I would listen to them, and I will come to know their problems. If anything that we can control the expenses of the city, control it, not sacrifice it for the services. So I will do that kind of a thing because I want to have people living in Stafford live in peace, safety and security, all these kind of things, and we have to attract young people to come to Stafford.
Thank you, sir. Cecil, What is the single most important reason you should be elected to serve as a mayor of Stafford? And why is your style of leadership what is needed by the city right now?
Well, first I want to say, let me ask you, is this our closing statement?
This is our closing statement. Yes, sir.
Do you ask it, we're going to have a 2-minute question is why I asked. Okay.
If I did not make that clear, no, this is not your closing statement, but this is a 2-minute question. We'll come back if I did not make that clear. I apologize.
I want my time back.
Take 5
Tonight,
seconds.
I think we've come to one thing we can all agree on. Everybody on this stage is not a leader. I am a uniter, not a divider. We present something at council, we try to get all the facts, and then in a democracy, we vote. We are going to have a festival at some time. Period. End of sentence. There's also an undercurrent here, and I wasn't going to bring this forward, but many of you that watched President Reagan and Al Gore's debate, President Reagan said, "I am not going to use my opponent's youth and inexperience against them." Experience is important, especially when you're managing someone's business. I signed checks for years. I also sign my own checks at home. I don't sign a check when I don't have money in the bank. I work with the people, not only the people in Stafford, but the surrounding communities. And one of the important things, and it has not always been my management style, I have worked exquisitely, if that's the appropriate word, appropriately with our city staff to calm their nerves, tell them everything is going to be okay. As soon as this election's over, this circus, we're going to go back and you can do the job you're paid to do.
Thank you. All right, gentlemen, your closing comments. This too will be a 2-minute answer, if you so. Yes, sir, please, Ken, lead the way.
Thank you.
All right.
It is said that the original intent of the politics was for those who are willing to sacrifice. But our generation has manipulated it and made it politics for profit. The lessons I am learning from the politics are our selfless leaders of the past are something to behold. With that frame of mind, we can make our beloved city a shining example. Stafford is shining with no property tax and diversity. We have to be flexible enough to accept the changes coming towards us. Otherwise, we will lose the opportunity and lose forever. It is a must that we go for the retail businesses like Walmart and McDonald's. They are the ones giving us the city 60% of the revenue. That is our lifeline. In order to sustain no property tax, as you can see on my flyers, we have to attract higher sales tax generating businesses, support new subdivisions to attract young professionals. Ken Matthew will do everything possible to make our beloved city to go above and beyond the accolades we have received from the local and the national level. I strongly believe when our citizens make wise choices and stand together, we can climb any mountain of impossibilities. Let me finish with a request. Please cast your vote for Ken Matthew, number 1 on the ballot. And I will do everything possible as a servant of the people. And I request your vote for Ken Matthew to be the next mayor of Stafford, and you will never regret it.
Thank you, Ken. Don. closing remarks.
An educator as mayor of Stafford, imagine the idea of a public educator becoming a mayor of a city that has the only municipal school district in the state of Texas. Would logically be considered a compatible fit right off the bat. Moreover, that individual would naturally have a depth of understanding that would match the originality of such a unique school district that we have. And the natural benefit to have a level of understanding of the operations and complexities within an educational system. That's the professorial Don Jones. I want to read a letter that I got from a former teacher from Stafford MSD. I want to share it, and I hope I get all the way through it. She was a fifth grade student of mine. Her name is Nicole Hebert, and she went on to be Teacher of the Year at our high school, ESL Teacher of the Year, actual Teacher of the Year. Hi, Mr. Jones. I was just telling a friend about my favorite teacher, you. So it was nice to get an email from you the next day. It looks like you're running for mayor, right? I am glad. You have the passion and the sense of purpose to serve people. For you to say I am the wind beneath your wings really means a lot. I am humbled by that. I appreciate that. And I know no better person to be at the helm of any organization where people are involved, because you care. You always have. When my friend was sharing that her favorite teacher, a man named Mr. Smart, from her sixth grade year had passed, but he was the reason she became a teacher, I told her that I never wanted to be a teacher. I never even thought about it. But I do try to emulate my career in classroom management after my favorite teacher, Mr. Jones. But you're not just a favorite teacher, but one of my favorite people. I truly hope God blesses the endeavor and gives you this heart's desire, because I know it is not a self-indulgent venture. You look to serve and help. That's what has always separated you from the rest. Thank you.
Thank you. Wynn, closing
Well, I think everybody in the audience, viewing audience, and in attendance have an idea of what I want to do. I want to commit the next 10 years of my life to the city. I am comfortable with what I've said. I've done my research, and I am as dependable as that Big Ben. I've always stood there and I've wavered, but I've never fallen. A lot of you, not only in the attendance, but our viewers, and in case of an emergency, they always call me. And I show up. I take care of them. And now we'll take care of this city just like an extended family, like y'all always been. And I've never had any problem talking to anybody on the street, driving around, looking at the problems, calling the individual. I'm outside your door looking at the problem you have. Then, let's see if I can take care of the problem with a good solution, and we can move forward. I am here to serve you. I'm here to be devoted to you. I am not a ceremonial person. I take care of business, and I'm a businessman. That's how I'm going to approach this situation I am, that I didn't know if I was going to do this. With meditation and urging from a lot of citizens, here I am. I did not intend to run, and that's why I was the last person to sign for the position. I'm here to serve you and your children and SMSD like I always have.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Cecil.
Thank you, Mr. Bro. First and foremost, I want to thank the citizens of Stafford. This choice is in your hands. I am not going to ask for your vote for mayor, because this is an educational channel and we cannot advocate for or against a candidate or a proposition. So I am not going to violate those rules. As previously mentioned, every person up here has a record of service to this community. It's all recorded in our minutes, on our videos, and newspaper articles. Experience is important. The great American philosopher Yogi Berra once stated, when you come to the fork in the road, take it. You've got 4 directions up here, and I assure you from my observation, they are not headed to the same point, which I believe should be what is best for all of Stafford. The choice is yours as always. One of the 4 of us will be running your city for the next 4 years. I trust the citizens of Stafford. They've had people to try to pass around falsehoods, try to pull the wool over their eyes, promote pie-in-the-sky plans. Every time, the good citizens of Stafford have seen through that. So let's stay the course with experience, dedication, and commitment. And I'm done.
Well, thank you, sir. I'm going to take a moment of personal privilege here because I've got a microphone. And I'd like to thank you, gentlemen, in the city of Stafford. I think you take a look, and your crop of candidates here for mayor is a testimonial to your diversity. It is amazing. I've worked with you gentlemen for a number of years. I've enjoyed working with you, and I applaud you each for putting your hat in the ring and be willing to further serve the city of Stafford. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a round of applause for these candidates. And gentlemen, thank you very much. We're going to have them step down and then take like a 5-minute break, and then we're going to have our city council candidates come up. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the second part of our evening where we meet our council member candidates for the 2023 election. We have with us right now a candidate running for position number 4. There's 2 ways to run for public office: opposed and unopposed. And Christopher Caldwell is running unopposed for position number 4, and he'd like to say a few words. Mr. Caldwell.
Thank you very much for this opportunity to at least introduce myself. Good evening, everyone, to the listening audience, to the viewing audience, and those who are looking by television. Who I am is not significant, but what I do is monumental. With that being said, I don't want to waste a lot of time speaking about my biography, but rather elucidate my objectives while serving on city council. My core tenets that I myself operate by are accountability, integrity, transparency, honesty. I want to be balanced, I want to be committed, and I want to be motivated. So that's how I operate under any circumstances. Really quick, when I say balance, a lot of people don't understand what balance is. Balance is basically me being a representative of all people, not a champion of a special interest group or a narrow perspective. So I am here representing the city of Stafford. When I say committed, I mean it's defined as constitutional relationships, attending meetings, and reading voluminous materials in preparation for meetings. Now, my platform and goals for the city of Stafford are to create a city that is, number one, built for the people. Number two, a city that is ran efficiently. Number three, to help create a city that has identity and character. Number four, a city that nurtures a civil society. And number five, make sure we have a well-run administration. So every decision that I make, every thing that comes before us, it has to tie into one of those goals because it is beneficial to the community and to the citizens of Stafford. So when you're asking me a question or when you're asking me to vote on something, I'm going to see how does it tie into those core tenets for the city. And if it doesn't tie into those core tenets, then I'm going to ask you to go back and show me how is it going to enhance or benefit the city that we're living in? How is it going to make our lifestyle better? How are our community members, how are our citizens going to benefit from the decisions that we're making, or how are they going to benefit from the ideas that you're bringing forward? So those are what I operate by. Again, I ask everyone to judge me by my actions and what I do. Don't give me the benefit of the doubt. Don't give me any favor. Just watch me. And at the end of the day, if what I do is favorable, then I will know it. If what I don't do is not favorable, then I would definitely know it. But again, thank you again for the opportunity. Thank you for the vote of confidence early in me. I really appreciate it. I think a lot of people had confidence in me because I've been on the school board for 9 years, and we have done a real good job. My team, I call them my team, and if it was another individual, they'll say their team, but it's my team tonight. We've done a really good job, and we're going to make Stafford a great place to live. I'm going to work with all of the city council members and whomever becomes mayor, because I have a wonderful working relationship with all four individuals, so that won't be difficult. But again, thank you so much for this opportunity, and I'll yield the rest of my time.
Thank you, Mr. Caldwell. Round of applause, please. Thank you, sir. All right, candidates for city council. I think I told some of you I would call you up. I'm not going to do that individually. If you come on up, I'll get you placed in position, and then we'll introduce you. All right, thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, candidates, for being here. We have 6 candidates running for 3 positions. We start off at my right, your left, excuse me, Xavier Herrera. I next have Jason Mejorado. We have Tim Wood, Matthew Veraman, Arthur A.J. Honore, and Virginia Rosa. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to start very similar to the way the mayors started. I'm going to have 3 questions. Actually, there are 5 questions, but it's one at a time here. I'd like you to start out with the bio tell folks about yourself, and then I'm going to follow up with why you should be council member. And please tell us which position you're running for. I'm going to start on this end and run it down the line.
Thank you very much. My name is Xavier Herrera, and I'm running for re-election to the Stafford City Council position number 5. Prior to my service on the City Council, I served as the school board vice president for the Stafford Municipal School District, and I did that for approximately 6.5 years. During that time, I was the legislative advocacy chair, and I also served as the chairman for the City of Stafford's Planning and Zoning Commission. Also, I served as a member of the City of Stafford's Comprehensive Plan Committee, and professionally, I serve as the executive director for a area management district, and when you look at civically, I also serve on the United States Selective Services Commission as a commissioner, and also on a number of other organizations, nonprofits such as the Boys and Girls Club and the United Way.
Thank you, sir. Jason, give us a little biography and what position you're running for.
Good evening. My name is Jason Maharata. I'm running for Stafford City Council position number 5 against Xavier. He's a great man. Obviously, I don't have any background in politics. It's my first time throwing my ring in the hat to take political office. The reason I'm doing this is because I'm tired of complaining and ready to take action. There's changes that need to be made up myself. I am from Stafford. The last time I was on the stage was a 8th grade talent show, I believe. Did a rendition of Maria by Carlos Santana, drove the place wild. Might be records somewhere on that. But my kids go to the school, graduated from the school. My grandkids plan to attend the school. I'm thoroughly invested in the success of the city, and that's why I'm here. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Tim.
Good evening. My name is Tim Wood. I'm originally from Louisiana, but I'm proud to be here in Texas and in Stafford. I felt a call from Stafford. Literally, I got a call. As soon as I qualified to become a teacher, Deborah Nort gave me a call and wanted to hire me as a Spanish teacher. That was about 9.5 years ago, and I haven't looked back. I'm dedicated to this city and this community because I care about making things better. I care about the future. I've dedicated my career to helping your youth. I've had the privilege of teaching and coaching as tennis coach over 1,000 Stafford youth right here in this school district, which I love and am proud of. I'm a family man. I'm a husband, been a husband for 8 years. I'm a father. I have 3 children, and I have 2 of those children that are currently enrolled in Stafford Municipal School District, and one of them that will be there next year. So I am fully invested in this community. This is where I live. This is where I shop, and I want to see it be the absolute best that it can. I want to make sure that our government represents the needs of our people. I want to make sure that our government is responsive to the needs of our people. It's not enough just to come up here and tout what we've done. We need to do more listening. And as a teacher and as a coach, yes, sometimes you're telling people what to do, but also the best coaches and teachers know how to listen, and I know how to listen. And I'm willing to listen to you and represent your needs and your values on the City Council. I'm running for position 6.
All right. Thank you, Tim. Matthew, if we get a little bio on you.
Good evening. My name is Matthew Veeraman. I am running for position number 6 as a councilman. I'm a teacher, lawyer, and a writer. I teach in a university undergrad and a master's level. Also, I am a lawyer. Plus, I am a writer. I have published some books and written articles in encyclopedia and books. And currently, I am serving in the city as a planning and zoning commissioner. Plus, I am serving the Promenade community as a homeowners association director. I have the legal experience and the teaching experience. I have the community experience and city experience. That's why I am running for the position number 6.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. AJ, a little biographical information on you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Bro. First, I want to thank you for being here tonight. I want to thank the Chamber of Commerce for putting this event together. My name is AJ Honore. I'm running for position number 2 to be reelected to rejoin the City of Stafford Council. I want to say thank you to my beautiful bride, Gloria. We spent 37 years here in Stafford together. We've raised our family here, 4 kids. They have all come through the school district. I have a grandson that I'm extremely proud about. One of my older sons is now working for SMSD and was this year voted or selected as the Rookie Teacher of the Year for the STEM Academy. And I'm very proud of that as a father. I have a big background in business. I'm a proud graduate of Texas Southern University, HBCU. I have also a background in law. I spent some time at the University of Houston. I've been a 5-year council member here in the city of Stafford, and looking forward to answering your questions tonight.
Thank you, sir. Virginia, give us some biographical information.
Thank you, and thank you, the Fort Bend Chamber, for hosting this candidates forum. I'm Virginia Rosas, running for position 2. I am a lifelong resident in Fort Bend County, lived in Sugar Land until 1983 when I got married and moved with my husband here, who was a patrol officer for the Stafford Police Department. He eventually retired from law enforcement after 40 years of service, not with Stafford, but he went to the Sheriff's Office and Metro PD. I retired in 2019. I worked for the court system for Fort Bend County. I worked for Judge McMeans as his court coordinator. During that time, I also obtained a master's certification, being a certified police officer, and also held an instructor license. I have 2 children. One's a nurse, emergency nurse, and my son works for 911 emergency unit with the Fort Bend County Sheriff's Office.
All right, thank you. All right, well, those are our candidates. Round of applause is always nice. We're going to follow this up, and I'm going to start, Virginia, I'm going to start that way, run this way. Excuse me. Very impressive there. Tell us why you're running for this position.
Thank you. I was on council from 2015 to 2022. And during that time, I had some wonderful mentors. Robert Sorbet and Ken Matthew took me under their wings, and I learned a lot, procedure, civility, the temperament that goes along with it, working as one. And from there, I eventually became Mayor Pro Tem. And once I learned what the aspects were, I worked on the Safe Sidewalk program, had that come to fruition, and along with the other votes from council, the rental registration program. So there are still some things that I feel that I can still challenge and spearhead. One is some living areas for our seniors that want to downsize. That's important, and revitalization is something that I'd like to tackle, and shopping locally. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. AJ, why are you running?
I'm running for city council because God has blessed me in so many areas of my life. He's given me a wonderful family, a transformative education, a lot of experiences in both corporate and business ownership. And the things that I've learned in those areas can be extremely valuable because of what I've done in those areas. And I want to bring those talents back into the city. We've kind of veered off of some of the things that we worked on when I was on council. I want to see us get back on track and begin making the progress that we need to make as a city. I believe that Christian values don't have to be compromised when you look at political values. I believe they must intersect in some form or fashion. And I think as a country, we've gotten away from that. But we certainly have gotten away from that in the city of Stafford as well. We don't have to be weak on infrastructure and education and security to maintain a conservative principle on finance. So there are a lot of reasons why I'm running, and I think tonight you'll find out some of those reasons.
Thank you. Matthew.
I am running for the city council because I want to serve the city. That's my primary goal. At the same time, I want to represent the views and ideas of the people in the city. besides this, I told that I am a lawyer. So we have three-level legislation: the federal level, state level, and the city level. City is a local legislature. So I can use my legal experience when the city makes any ordinances. At the same time, I want to represent the views and ideas of the people, because sometimes people will talk to me when I serve the community as a homeowners association director and the planning and zoning commission. I got some information from the people. I want to give that information in the council and voice that for the people.
Thank you, sir. Tim?
I'm running because I sincerely believe that my unique experiences will add some value to our city council. I have 4 years of practical experience dealing with finances as a financial counselor, helping people to get out of debt and to organize their budget. I think that can be an asset to our community. I bring 9 years of being an educator and a coach involved with the youth, which will bring a needed focus on our future. I also bring a lifetime of being service-minded. From my earliest years in childhood, throughout my youth, I've had an opportunity, thanks to my parents' good upbringing, to learn to get out of my own home and serve other people. I left my comforts in my country and went to the Dominican Republic to serve the people over there. I volunteered after hurricanes, and I like to get my hands dirty doing the good work of helping people in whatever situation they're in. And I think that this will be an asset. I am willing and ready to serve.
Thank you, sir. Jason?
Yes,
Why are
sir.
you running for city council?
I am running this for city council because, as Mr. Wood has stated, I also have a lifetime of service. I served my country for 10 years in the United States Marine Corps, and it built a pride in me that is unbreakable. Now I've come back to Stafford, Texas, and I've seen the degradation of the city over the years, from the time I was in kindergarten to the time my youngest daughter graduated 2 years ago. The degradation of education, the degradation of services, and I feel that the city needs a proven leader, not only a combat veteran, but somebody that has critical thinking skills to look at a problem and be able to solve it efficiently and expeditiously. And that's why I am running for city council, for the future of everybody of Stafford, your children as well as mine.
Thank you, sir. Xavier?
Thank you very much. I'm running as simply because Stafford's my home. Stafford is a place that has educated my 3 children. Stafford is a place where I raised my family. And I truly honestly believe that our city has a bright future and a promise with opportunity. We have a strong community. It's a very diverse community. And we have a lot of great tools. But to answer your question, it's my home. Thank you.
Xavier, I'm going to jump back to you, just right there. What's the most urgent infrastructure issue we face as a community? This is a one-minute question. Answer, please.
1 minute, okay. So the most urgent infrastructure needs right now that I see is looking at our residential areas, making sure that our infrastructure, while it is for a good amount of areas, doing its job, we have to, number one, take a look at the areas that's in need. Number two, also with those areas that are doing well, how do we make sure to go ahead and continue that those lines continue to serve those communities and does not pose a detriment to those communities. So we also have to, in tandem, take a look at how do we pay for that. So we have to go ahead and take a look at the areas, find ways to go ahead and pay for those needs, and make sure that we do not fall behind with the areas that we're doing well at.
Thank you, sir. Jason, same question. What is the most urgent infrastructure issue we face as a community?
Well, based off of my conversations with people throughout the community, the main thing I would say is flooding in certain parts of the city that are not getting the support that they should be getting. The other thing, which would be a supply line issue, is grocery stores. We shouldn't be putting all our hard-earned dollars in Sugar Land, Missouri City. So based off of the citizens of this city, it seems like those are the 2 biggest things that we face right now. And I hope to get into office and rectify those issues for the people.
Thank you, sir. AJ, down to you. What in the current city budget are you concerned about?
I would love to respond to the infrastructure question, but I'll go ahead and respond to the budget question. We have 3 candidates that are current city council members running against our mayor for a very specific reason. I think the number one reason is because we have lied about our financial condition in this city. We're in a bubble, and that bubble is ready to burst. We spent $42 million over the last 5 years that came into the city as one-time revenue. That's from COVID relief, that's from transfers that we've made from other healthy funds like our SEDC and our HOT fund and our MST fund, and we've also borrowed money. That's one-time money. It's not coming back again. And we've used that to pay for recurring expenses in our city. We can't continue to do that. That bubble is going to burst. If we don't fix our current condition, and I know our current mayor continues to say that we're in a healthy position. We're not. I'm concerned about that.
Thank you, sir. Virginia, what in the current city budget are you concerned about?
Well, I just totally have to disagree with my opponent because what he just stated is that the money did not go to reoccurring items. It is the money that was received was the capital outlays were paid, such as fire trucks, trucks, you know, some of the patrol cars, all that was paid. None of that money was used for reoccurring. It wasn't used for payroll. It wasn't used for anything. So we're not in a bubble. And that we have at least $8 million in the balance fund, I think we're doing extraordinarily well. And this is what really concerns me is when candidates try to insinuate and scare the public that the budget is gone bust, the sky's going to fall, and it's not. We're in a really good position, and we continue to be there, but we just have to keep making the tough decisions. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Tim, let me go to you with the question. Do you think the city is providing sufficient services to its constituents? And if no, how would you pay for additional services?
That's a great question. We have a unique situation being a zero property tax city. And at the same time, just like our neighbors in other cities, we want to make sure we have great services for our residents. And so the question was in regards to whether or not we're meeting those needs. I think the answer is no. I think we're doing a lot of things really well. But when I go out and I knock on people's door and I have an opportunity to listen to them at their doorstep, there are still some things that need to be addressed. And one of those principal things Mr. Mejorado mentioned, we got to do right by the least of those that are in Stafford. Because I'm fortunate enough to live in a neighborhood that doesn't flood, doesn't mean it's not important for those people who don't have the good fortune of living in a well-drained area. That's important. We have to prioritize the security and safety. How are we going to pay for it? We're not going to pay for it by putting a burden on our residents through a property tax. You have my commitment on that. We can find alternative sources of revenue and make sure we're attracting the right kind of businesses to bring in retail dollars so we can afford to fix the problems that we have.
Thank you. Mr. Matthew, the same question.
According to my understanding, the city is providing reasonable services to the community, but at the same time, we have to consider the budget. So sometimes people have some complaints about the flooding in some area, but this is an old city. It was constructed in 1960 or some other years. So we have to consider how city can do certain things in the flooding areas. But besides that flooding, the city is giving good services to the constituents, that I believe.
Thank you, sir. All right, let me ask this question to everyone, and Matthew, I'm going to start with you. What does the city need to stop doing right now in a 1-minute answer? What is yes. What does the city need to stop doing?
The cities should stop doing the the construction of the go-downs and other things. And they should focus on the retail. They have to bring some retail business here. So they should focus on the go-down services.
Thank you, sir. Tim, what should the city stop doing right now?
I think it's really simple. I hear the thing from so many people. We don't need more gas stations and we don't need more warehouses. That's not a net benefit for our city. Sure, it's convenient to go to Circle K at midnight if you want a snack or pick me up or whatever, but we don't need 20 options at midnight to go to a gas station. We need the kind of retail that's going to sustain our economic model. We do not want to burden our residents with a property tax, so we need to bring in the right kind of businesses. Some of the people up here have been part of the decision makers to bring in these warehouses and in planning and zoning to decide to bring in these gas stations. We need to be intentional. We can't just accept whoever wants to come here. Let's be intentional and give the right kind of businesses, attract the right kind of businesses that will do right by our residents, that will service the needs of our residents and sustain our economic model.
Thank you. AJ, same question. What should the city stop right now?
Yeah, Mr. Woods probably took the number one area, so I'll go to the number two area, which I've already talked about, which is stop lying about our financial situation. We need to be honest about what we're doing with our financial books. We've created a mirage of a fund balance through transferring funds from other fund balances, using funds that were borrowed, and also using funds that were one-time revenue, like COVID relief. And we did pay, and we gave raises just recently to our staff to try and bring some pay parity into our human resources, and that came from revenue that was one time. How are we going to continue doing that in future years if we keep lying and not fix our revenue problem?
Thank you. Jason, same question. What should the city of Stafford stop doing right now?
I mean, there's been a lot said on that side as far as what things should be done. For me, I would immediately stop open enrollment at the school. I feel that it's degrading the education that the students of Stafford are getting because of the number of kids that are currently in that school. We need to focus on the citizens of Stafford and the education of their children to ensure that we are putting the best and brightest forward and stop prioritizing certain kids' education with the incentives of like STEM Academy. I think everybody should attend that school. That shouldn't be something that you have to meet criteria, because if the least educated person in the school is failing, that's not that kid's fault, that's the educator's fault, that's the fault of the parents. We need to ensure that these kids are being brought up and educated in an intelligent way versus trying to teach everybody around the area. Thank you.
Thank you. Virginia, what should the city of Stafford stop doing right now?
Both sitting city council members and all candidates right now need to stop denigrating our beautiful, wonderful city. I'm proud of our 7 square miles. Yes, we have problems. Every city has a problem, but what other 7 square miles has their own school district? Premier School District has STEM, robotics, students receiving certificates, their associates before they even get their high school degree diploma. So stop denigrating. Yes, we have a few problems, but we have a Stafford Center. Look at this, where we're sitting in. So we have a lot of wonderful things. We need to be our own cheerleaders, because if we keep this up, who's going to want to relocate here, do their business, and bring their children if we constantly say what an awful place we live in?
Thank you, ma'am. Xavier, what would you stop right now?
Thank you very much. The one thing that I think that needs to be looked at is our economic development model that we have. And that goes into our EDC, Economic Development Corporation. I believe we need to begin to hire an executive director. There's a number of folks that will talk about a grocery store coming to Stafford. I can tell you that when I served as the communications director for the county judge, we worked diligently to bring in a number of companies to the county itself, one of which was HEB into actually here Stafford. One of their biggest arguments, and I understand that people tend not to like this, but it's actually traffic. how many cars that come up and down the road, how many feet will come in and out, because when all is said and done, we're looking at money. So that's one of the things that we need to go ahead and have a person who's full-time, dedicated to go ahead and bringing these businesses back to Stafford. Thank you very much.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Virginia, I'm going to head down to you again on this end. We just talked about what City of Stafford should stop. What should we start? Tomorrow morning, what should we start doing?
Tomorrow morning, we're landlocked. We have no more land to speak of. So revitalization is the next big thing that we must approach. We're an aging community, and as I stated earlier, we need to look for places for our elders to move because they want to downsize. They don't need big yards. They don't need to be mowing and the expenses of utilities. So use some of that zoning to and get with the realtors and figure out where can we put some nice little townhomes or patio homes for our elderly that still want to get out and be in the community, but in a smaller house. I think that's very important. That's one of the premier things that I think that we should be looking at, and continue to look at the infrastructure and the drainage that everybody, that is a given. It's never gone away. It will continue to be an issue that we should continue working on, not just today, tomorrow, but every day.
Thank you, ma'am. Xavier, I'm going to go to you. What do we start tomorrow morning? City of Stafford.
I think we need to go ahead and do a better job of promoting our city. When you look at the city of Stafford, there's a lot of positives. The Stafford Municipal School District, and I see my good friend and current board president here with us today, and I had the honor of working with him on the school board. Stafford Municipal School District is a B-rated school district. When you flip right around, you look at the city of Stafford, the ease to go ahead in and out of the freeways, whether it's Highway 59, Highway 90, I mean, you're there. We need to promote that we're open for business, and that you know, as mentioned previously, you know, we're willing always to work and find different ways to attract those businesses. So those are some of the things. But also, I'd go ahead, if it was up to me, to look into hiring that economic development director.
Thank you, sir. AJ, what should we start tomorrow?
We can start immediately two things. One is start engaging our community in helping to solve some of the problems that we do have. And I would do that by creating a great neighborhoods empowerment grant program with our HOAs and our neighborhood leaders so that they could identify areas where we can beautify, provide better security, and other things. That's one. The second thing is to immediately start the process of creating a municipal development corporation so we can invest in our school district. We do not take advantage of the two biggest things that we have, which is that special designation, the only one in the state that is known as a municipal school district. We don't take advantage of that as a municipality. The second thing is to make sure that we're raising the funds that we need to help the school district continue.
Thank you, sir. Jason, what do we start doing tomorrow?
I will agree with Xavier on the promotion of the city. My job, fortunately, takes me all across the state, and not one person that I've ever talked to, which is thousands, has ever known that Stafford is a tax-free city. Not one single person. I think if people knew about that, as well as the uniqueness of the district and where it can go, we'd have people knocking down the doors, because I know everybody I've talked to tries to buy property in Stafford to live here because of those two things. The other thing is just unite. We need to become a community instead of individuals. Everybody has their own agenda, but it doesn't seem like that agenda is meant for the people. That's one thing we really need to do, is everybody needs to get on the same page to better the city.
Thank you, sir. Matthew, same question. What do we start tomorrow?
Yes, since we have zero property tax, we must focus on the revenue generation. We have to bring some retail business so we can get more revenues. Secondly, we have to focus on the real issues in the city. We have to consider what is the real issue we are facing. If it is a flooding, we have to address that issue. Then the safety and security is the major concern. That is, it includes the road system and other infrastructure. So we have to focus on the safety and security of the residents, and we have to generate more revenues to the city. These are the things we have to start.
Thank you, sir. Tim, did I leave you anything? What do we start doing tomorrow?
One thing we can start doing is something that Mayor Scarcella did a great job with, which is communicating with our residents. The way I became aware of this municipality and all the things that are happening in the great city of Stafford and that we had a zero property tax was a little newsletter I got every month living in an apartment on the Fountains in 2012. That's not that expensive to get greater engagement. Who knows who else could be inspired by knowing what's going on? I think the best government we're going to have is one that represents the people when people are engaged fully. I would love to see our city hall full whenever we have meetings. I would love to start going out to the neighborhoods on a quarterly basis and listening to people. Because if we're listening to people about their concerns, then we can be responsive, accountable, and give the best government that represents the needs and the desires of the citizens of Stafford.
Okay. Thank you, Tim. Tim, I'm going to start back with you on my next question. So we've talked about what we need to stop. We've talked about what we need to start. What is Stafford doing right? What do we need to keep doing in the city of Stafford?
Well, you gave me an easy one. Thanks. We're doing right the zero property tax for our residents. No one else around us has that privilege. We live in trying economic times. Things are going on in Washington and Austin. Things are happening around the world that challenge our economy and, most importantly, our home economy. As a teacher on a teacher's salary, I am not going to institute a property tax on our residents. That's something that Stafford's doing right, and I want to see it through. I want to find creative ways to make sure we're dealing with the needs, the real needs of our citizens without burdening our taxpayers by implementing a property tax.
Okay, thank you. Matthew.
Yeah, I agree with Tim Wood. We should not burden the people with more taxes. I stand for the zero property tax. So I talked to several people. They told me the property tax is increasing everywhere. It is creating a lot of problem to the people. Actually, the people live in Stafford is actually blessed. We don't give a lot of taxes. Then beautification of the city is the other things. This city is a old city. We have to make it great. That is my desire.
Okay, thank you. Jason, I'll hit you up here. What is Stafford doing right? What do we need to keep doing in the city of Stafford?
I mean, I don't think you could say it enough. No property taxes. I would die before I'd ever agree to implement a property tax and stick our hands or the government's hands in your pockets. That's something I am adamantly against, and I would do what I can to try to get us to stop paying Fort Bend County's taxes, because they've been getting us pretty good here lately. The increases there are ridiculous, and I'm not the only one that feels the pain. I'm pretty sure all y'all feel it as well, and we've got to find a way to get free of that, because as long as we're paying somebody taxes for our property, we don't really own it. We're renting it, so we need to stop that as well. Maybe you can help with that.
All right, well, remember, if you're elected, you will be the government. Xavier, same question. What is Stafford doing right? What do we need to keep doing?
You know, I think it's unanimous. The zero property tax is a great tool and asset to go ahead and market to not only this community, but to others outside to go ahead and bring in. So when companies come in to your community, they're looking at affordability. They're looking at your public schools and where they're at for their workforce. Also, any other types of educational opportunities, ease and access. But the zero property tax is awesome. You know, when you look at it, and kind of echoing what my dear friend here went ahead and mentioned, if you're fortunate to live on the Fort Bend County side, you're definitely doing a lot better in taxes than you would be on the Harris County side, as Fort Bend's a lot cheaper, as we all know. But that is one thing that I think that you have a unanimous agreement with everyone. So thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. AJ, same question.
Yes.
What's Stafford doing right?
Well, we're definitely doing zero property tax right. There are other areas of revenue generation that we're not doing right, but zero property tax, we have that right. But one of the areas that I'm really proud that we need to continue moving in this direction is revising our residential zoning ordinances. There was some discussion at the meeting last night about that. I was happy to see that council was interested in trying to work with a landowner to redesign some of our zoning ordinances concerning variances. But if we get this right, we will be able to attract Generation Z and X citizens to our city if we do some things to change our residential setbacks that are required, invite developers to come in, not give landowners $2.5 million to build, to extend Cash Road so that you can build more warehouses, but instead do things for building residential. We need to continue moving that direction to build and change our zoning rules for residential.
All right, Virginia.
Thank you. I guess this is called what, in cards, a royal flush or something like that? Because yes, zero, everybody agrees with that. But the other thing that we're doing right is our partnership with Stafford MSD and the Houston Community College. Our focus has always been in ensuring that our youth gets every opportunity available. So through those partnerships, those are coming to fruition, and associate's degrees benefiting the parents and not having to pay for that. So we're doing that right. Also, we need to continue to be business friendly, because once we do that, they know that our city is willing to work with them, because we want you here. We're open for business, and we're going to do everything, and we have been doing everything to work out resolutions to make that happen.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. So I guess we've this stage right here is an example. We will have guaranteed 3 new council members. Okay? 3 new council members might have the same mayor, might have a different mayor. It's going to be a big to-do here. My question is, how would you work with getting consensus with your other council members? What's your style? Tim, how do you do that?
Thank you for asking that question. One of the things that bothers me the most is how incapable it seems that our government leaders at the very top to be able to do anything. It doesn't matter which party is in power. The other party, they put their boots, their spurs in the ground, and they don't want to let the other party get anything done. I don't think that's the right way to govern. I think government is done by consensus. Yes, certainly we have our convictions, and there are certain things that we're not going to agree on. But let's find those things that we do agree on. I think we could say that we at least all agree on the zero property tax. I'm sure there's a lot more things that we agree on than we disagree on. If we can put the personality aside and be willing to look at the issues and remember that our charge is to serve the residents, the citizens, and not our own personal ambitions, we can do right by the citizens of Stafford. I know all of the current council people. I am grateful to have met everyone here as well, and I'm willing to work with anyone.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Xavier, how do you work with people? How do you build consensus?
Thank you very much. I believe I have a track record of doing that. I have to go ahead and agree with what Mr. Wood went ahead and stated. It's better to go ahead and listen to everybody's concerns and thoughts, and acknowledging that not everybody's going to get what they want. So we have to find a middle ground and identify what is best for our community as a whole. That idea mixed in with the recognition that we work for the people. We work for the people of our community. We work for our neighbors. We work for our family. We work for our family's friends. And when all is said and done, we also work for the businesses. And when I say that, there's a lot of businesses that employ Stafford residents. So we have to take our personal feelings and the political grandstanding and propaganda things that's been going, and we go ahead and work together for the betterment of our community.
Thank you, sir. AJ, I'm going to throw it down to you. No, I'm sorry. I told Matthew I'd throw it to him next.
I will work with the mayor and other council members for the betterment of the residents. There may be some disagreement. At the same time, I need to consider what is the real issue. I will, if it is a legitimate need or matters, I will go with the legitimate needs and matters. I will support the views and ideas of the people and bring it to the council and stand for the genuine reasons.
Thank you, sir. Okay, now AJ.
Yeah,
go ahead.
my faith has taught me that you know, working with others is more important than being selfish and always wanting things to be exactly your way. So for me, it's a faith issue that we're required, even when we have differences, to listen and to try and understand one another and to work through those issues. It doesn't mean that you give up your convictions, but you listen and work through them and try and find those common grounds where you can work together. So for me, it's a faith issue and a requirement that we have to, as elected officials, try and make sure that we're doing the best thing for our community and not have self-focused agendas that we want to accomplish.
Thank you. Jason, how are you going to work with other council members?
I think that it's very easy, honestly, if we all are in agreement that we're here not for ourselves or our own agenda, but we're here for the people, then it should be fairly easy to get things done. The one thing that we all have to realize is it's not about my personal agenda or yours. It's about what the people out in the audience want. And as long as we all are on the same page and agreement that it's not about us, it's about the citizens of this city, it should be fairly easy to get things done. We just need to put our own pride and agenda to the side. Because I'm not doing this for me. I don't even think this is a paid position, honestly. I'm doing this for the people that out there that don't have a voice, that have been crying on deaf ears. I'm now that ear, or hope to be that ear and shoulder to cry on, and implement changes that could affect the city positively.
Thank you, sir. Virginia, how do you build consensus?
Thank you. Having served on council before, I think I have a proven record of being able to reach out, and communication is a big word. It's a simple word, but a big word, because it entails negotiation, temperament, honesty, dignity. It encompasses all that. So when you work with someone, and we all are striving for the same goal, is we're working for you, we're working for the community, and we're trying our best to get whatever project it is done. But it's listening to each other, and I think that's sometimes get lost in what their concerns might be and how you may be able to negotiate through that or understand why they're hesitant. But I think just having a simple conversation with one another goes a long way.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Let me ask this question, because we're all zero property tax people up here. And Xavier, I'm going to hit you up on this first. So our sales tax is being impacted by online purchasing. Okay, what do you think the strategy should be for the city of Stafford going forward, realizing the changes in property tax collections?
Realizing those, I think that we need to go ahead and work more closely with our state representatives and our state government officials to make sure that we maximize each and every opportunity for our city. We bring that onto it. Also, where we can, we bring in our county officials. And speaking as a collaboration and whatnot, we do that to go ahead and find the best package for our city and our residents.
Thank you. Jason, same question.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that, sir?
So their online sales are going to be affecting our sales tax position in the city of Stafford. How do we address that? How do you address that as a council?
Well, I think we have to have a hard look in the mirror and realize that brick and mortar is it's on the way out, honestly, just as you said, because of online sales. We have to think of more creative ways to generate revenue for the city besides relying solely or a majority on sales tax. Things we could do, there's controversial opinions, but there's precedents been set across the country where cities are taking charge of their own infrastructures. Instead of paying TXU for the light bill, cities are now providing that, giving a flat rate to citizens. Now, not only would that help the city because that's now revenue that's being generated by the city, it would also help the citizens who are getting the $600, $700, $800 bills from TXU or Champion Energy or like that. You didn't pay the city the $150 or $100 whatever the case may be, we'd have to sit down and crunch numbers, but that's now money that is being invested or coming into the city where we don't rely on that, and that's going to be continual because there's always going to need power. Things like that, just managing our own self. This city's small enough that we shouldn't rely on anybody. We should be able to take care of ourselves from within.
Okay, thank you, sir. AJ, how do you see the relationship between city staff and city council?
It's a working relationship, but that relationship is driven really with the department heads, which work on behalf of the council and not just the mayor. So I think you work through the department heads to achieve the things that you want to get done in those departments. But there's a responsibility I think the council has to make sure that there's fairness in our human resources. So I'm very proud that I was able to actually write the resolution that created our human resources department and to begin the process of bringing all of our employees into equity for pay, because it has not always been that way. But we have a responsibility to make sure that we watch out for the interests of our employees, make sure that they're treated fairly, not just the department heads, but all the way down to the very minimum workers. So we have that responsibility, and that's something the council has to make sure that they keep in mind whenever we're doing our budgets and whenever we're moving forward with our proposals.
Thank you. Tim, same question. What's the relationship between city council and city staff?
I think it's very important for city council to realize that the work of the city, sure, we have the opportunity to vote on things, but the real great work of the city is done by those people that are in those City of Stafford trucks, that are sitting in the building day by day, answering calls, going out and fixing potholes and mowing the common areas. I had the unique opportunity growing up to be a janitor, to work road construction. So I think just being able to break bread with those people and understand that we can relate with one another and that we are grateful for what they're doing, we show them appreciation. I think that's the best way we can build the confidence that really they're the heroes. They're the ones that are doing the work that makes this city function. Yes, we may get, the opportunity to vote, but we just want to show our gratitude and make sure we have a relationship of respect towards those city employees that are working their butts off to make our city as best as it can be.
Thank you, sir. Virginia?
Yes.
How many, tell me, you've done this before.
Mm-hmm.
How many hours do you think it takes, or how many hours have you reserved for doing your city council job? Week, month? I don't want to go a year. It's too painful.
So are you including the different, just
Yes.
city council, but because then you have different IT committees, 4th of July committee.
Yes, ma'am,
So
I
you have
am.
additional committees. So-
All in, all
So
done.
it's all inclusive is your
Yes,
question. One thing I was taught early on with Mr. Sorbet is, and I hold him dear to my heart because he gave me a lot of guidance, is be ready. Be ready, read. Hector Acevedo, who was on school board, gave me the same advice. Be ready, read. So not only reading and being prepared, which you always should be, it takes, oh Lord, a minimum, I would say, with preparation and some of the city councils that would run long and committee meetings, I would say a minimum of 20, 25 hours.
A
week, depending on if it's budget, it might be longer because you have additional committee meetings. So it's how much you want to put into the job, and I put 100% into mine. So
Thank you.
it
ma'am.
might be different for someone else.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Matthew, what's your take? What do you see the time commitment for a city council member? A week.
First time I am running for the council position. I have worked as a planning and zoning commissioner, but I never worked as a councilman. But I think there are 2 meetings, and not only the meetings, people will call and inquire about a lot of things. So sometimes people may call at night. That is also community service. So I cannot tell, maybe more than 25 hours in a week.
Okay, okay. All right, thank you, sir. Thank you. Continued economic development is very important for any city. What do you as a council member do to build upon this strength, to build upon our economic development? Jason, I want to hit you up with that. What would you do to build on our economic development?
Well, the first thing, being a newcomer, never doing this before, is I would have to get into the building and see where we stand currently to even recommend any type of options to improve things. So as of right now, I really don't know where we stand, because you hear from everybody that's spoken on this, we're either good or we're bad. I don't know who to believe. I haven't seen the data myself. All I know is that if I don't know where we stand, so I really can't give a educated answer on that question.
Okay.
So it would be hard to say where we need to improve if I don't know where we're lagging at.
Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you, sir. Matthew, I'm gonna point back to you there. Continued economic development is very important to the city. What would be your plans to attract new businesses to the city?
Yeah, we must attract business people. Sorry?
No, you're good. You're good.
Yeah. We must attract business people, especially the retailers. So they should start business here. We can generate more income. This is an old city, and in some places it looks still old. We need some beautification of the city. So in order to beautification, we had to make some plan, and we had to check with the owners of the property. Then only we can do certain development. And we have to think about the budget of the city. And we must make this old city great. That is my plan.
Okay. Thank you, sir. AJ, I've got a question for you. Today at Fort Bend EDC, a biotech company who's just put in a facility here that's a warehouse, going to be doing biotech. They're publicly traded. I don't think they generate a penny of sales tax. They'll employ 150 people. Good thing or bad thing?
It depends, and this is what it depends on. We would have to make some changes in the way that we have our revenue structure in order to accept a company like that. And one of those changes
You've
would
accepted that company. It's here.
one of those changes would be realigning how we assess public service fees and make sure that we have something in place to make sure that they're paying a fair share for the services that are being provided by our city. The second thing is that with 150 employees, there's a value there. It's not just warehouses, because now you have employees that are coming into the city that can spend their money at local restaurants and other places. So it's not a bad mix as long as there are employees coming in and there's revenue being generated to support the services that those companies are taking up.
Thank you, sir. Xavier, same question.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that question. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to go ahead and attend that particular meeting. As you all know, that I sit as a trustee with the EDC in Fort Bend County. I will say this, kind of echoing what Mr. Honore had mentioned. You know, you always want to go ahead and see where the direct and indirect opportunities lie. And one of the things, obviously, low-hanging fruit is to go ahead and create the opportunity for that particular company to utilize Stafford area businesses and restaurants, but also see what the opportunity is of them looking at their staffing and seeing if we can go ahead and some kind of way find ways to get Stafford residents employed at that company. When we talk about living, working, and entertaining here, that's something I would look at.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Virginia, how do you have a dialogue about important but controversial issues? How do you do it?
You just have to be honest. Honesty, because whatever the issue may be, you just have to approach it in that manner, because we're all different to a certain degree, and in some areas we agree and some you disagree. So if, you just have to be very sensitive about the topic, whatever it may be, and understand that the person with you or you're speaking with may not agree with you, and so you just have to speak from the heart, whatever it is, and know that whatever conversation it is, it's going to be amicable, and it's just a real honest dialogue is all I can say, because if you try to twist and turn and be cute about it, it's not going to work.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Tim, let me go to you with the question. So, kind of along those same issues, if you've got an issue that your constituents want, all right, but is not necessarily beneficial to the city, how do you weigh that? What goes through your mind to resolve that issue? Talk me through something.
I'm a little confused. If it's beneficial to constituents, then it's beneficial to the city because they make up the city. So can I get another question, or a question that makes sense?
A less controversial question. So if you've got a constituent that has an issue that's going to benefit them, but it's not going to benefit the rest of the city, how do you deal with that? Was that
That's
better?
a great question.
Okay.
And as a
I'll
teacher,
mic around the other one.
I've learned the value of learning to leave your bias at the door. If you want to connect with kids or with adults, you have to be willing to listen sincerely without judgment. So I think anyone, whether you're going to agree or not, if you're willing to listen, to hear someone out, to validate their concern, be understanding, even if at the end of the conversation it may be, this is why it can't happen, or I wish we could. Being sincere and honest is better than making promises that you're not going to keep because it's not going to work. But I think being willing to listen with empathy and validate is very important.
Thank you. And Matthew, I'm going to ask you that same question, but I'm going to ask you a little bit different because I'm getting better at this, I'd like to think. So you've got an issue that's maybe good for one part of the city, but overall it's not going to work for the rest of the city. How would you communicate that to folks?
This is the question to me, or?
Yes, for you. Yes, sir.
Okay. I will bring the matter to the city council and explain the matter to the city. If the other members and mayor explain to me that it is not beneficial and it will affect the budget, then I will go back to the residents and explain to them.
Okay. All right. Thank you, sir. All right, Jason. Now, I feel like you felt like I messed you up on the economic development question, okay?
I like that question.
Yeah, you like that question?
Yeah.
Well, go back to my economic development. How are we going to do economic development? How are you going to attract folks to the city?
Well, I think everybody could agree that a good deal benefits both parties, and that's something that we have to ensure that is occurring whenever we decide to put businesses in the city. Make sure it's beneficial not only for the business, because that will attract them, but beneficial for the city. And that would be the reason why we bring them, and that's the only way that this is going to work. I don't know if the deficit is because we've had one-sided deals in the past. Like I said, I haven't been in the office to see what's going on firsthand personally, but the fear porn that's being spit out around here looks like we've been getting the raw end of the deal for a couple of deals that have gone on. I don't know how true that is, but we just got to ensure that it's beneficial to everybody involved, not only the businesses, but the city and the residents as well.
Okay, great. I'm gonna run down here and I'm gonna change it because obviously my questions aren't good enough. So I'm gonna start with Xavier. What question did I not ask, and what's the answer?
Okay, talk about an open-ended one there. At least for this council right now, I'll go ahead and point out how do we continue working with the Stafford Municipal School District and continue that positive track. And I'll say this, The Stafford Municipal School District, as mentioned earlier, it holds a very special place in my heart. Serving on that school board, having that school district educate my children, my nephews and nieces. Matter of fact, my youngest son, who just recently graduated, got his associate's degree before his high school diploma, and so did two of my nieces. So I was very, very proud of that. So that's the one of the few things that I would continue on, and I'd like for everybody to, which it seems like everybody has, to continue on that path. So that's the one conversation, what type of way we would go ahead and go through that, and how we partner up. So anyway, yeah.
Thank you. Jason, what question did I not ask, and what's the answer?
You didn't ask me how I was feeling, nervous and anxious, and feel pretty good as well. No, honestly, the question that I think you didn't ask is, that's a hard one, because you've covered a lot of topics, but I'll just give a generic answer to an unknown question. What I want the city to accomplish is, again, to be the tip of the spear. Lead not only the area, but the state as well as the country in graduates. And not just there's a difference between education and intelligence. Anybody could be educated, anybody could read a book. It's the ability to process that and learn from that. And that's what I think we need to have our students coming out of the school, is not only educated but intelligent, critical thinking skills, creativeness, things like that, because that will bring alternate solutions to problems that we've been facing for hundreds of years now in this country. So we just need educated minds, and I think critical thinking is probably the biggest thing we need to implement in the curriculum at Stafford Municipal School District. Thank you.
So Tim, I'm here. I'm asking questions. I'm the moderator. What question did I miss? What did I not ask you guys that I should have asked? And what's the answer?
Well, I don't claim to know all the answers, and I think you've asked fine questions, so I don't want to be misconstrued about my little retort on the one. But I think maybe a question that hasn't been spoken is, can a teacher really do this job? Can I handle the demands of being a teacher and a coach and still show up 100% for our city? And I want you to know that the answer is yes. I am willing and I am ready to serve. Yes, being a teacher, being a coach is demanding. Being a father, being a husband, being a young homeowner is demanding. But my heart is in this work. I want to serve and I'm ready to serve. And the only way that I'm able to do all those things is because my wife is right beside me. I couldn't do it all by myself. It's because of Brisa that I'm able to do more than a lot of people would be able to do with their time. So I'm so grateful for her, and I hope that you, just the same trust that you've given me with being able to educate your youth, I hope that you can see that my passion is here to make our city better, and I'm going to show up to those city council meetings with ideas, willing to listen, willing to work, and to improve our city. I bring a needed focus on the future.
Thank you, sir. And Tim, I've spent almost 38 years as an auditor. I've had most of my personality and feelings surgically removed. Matthew, same question. What question were you expecting maybe that I did not ask, and what's the answer?
I personally believe that you covered almost every areas, and that any person can ask any other questions, but you covered almost every areas. I believe that.
Okay. All right. I'm asking this question entirely wrong, I guess. AJ, there's a question I didn't ask. I needed to ask, right?
That's a great question. Okay. That's a great question, and the question that we haven't talked about today that you haven't asked is just how much infrastructure work do we need to do, and how are we going to pay for it? In 2018, Council commissioned our Public Works Director to do a study, a 5-year capital plan. And that capital plan revealed that there was $35 million worth of work that needed to be done. However, there was a muzzle put on that plan. I got my hands on that plan a couple years ago, and I've shared it with council and the current mayor. No one has addressed the big elephant in the room on how much money needs to be spent and how we're going to raise that money. I only have 10 seconds to answer that, but I do have a plan to raise $5 million without doing a property tax that will help us fix our infrastructure problem here in the city of Stafford.
That was a good question. Virginia, what question did I not ask? And y'all stop trying to spare my feelings on this. What do you want to know? And you got to give the answer too. So that's a two-headed sword.
Thank you.
Okay.
Well, I tend to agree that there are capital projects that need to be addressed. And I believe they are being addressed. I believe that once I spoke to some of the department heads and even the mayor recently, is that there's projects that are being staged at 5 and 10 year and so on. And so what I think that is important, and I think that we should strive for, is once this list is complete, evaluate it, and then pick a project a year, whatever it is, and just start naming all the projects that need attention without it interfering with the infrastructure and the drainage, because those are always going to be on the top of the front of the stove that's always cooking, and we always know it's there. But I think a capital projects program is important, and so as far as rotating the fleet of cars, fire engines, equipment, and then, the projects that need to be done. I know there's some areas that town that have different needs, but I think that is a real important area that be addressed.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. I'm going to ask a question now. This is a yes/no. All right. It's going to be completely unfair. Y'all ready for it? All right. So we have long-term assets. We have long-term infrastructure. I think those infrastructure assets are good. All of you had great questions to ask. Now I'm doing it. That's a great question, Chris. So the infrastructure, we talked about infrastructure, long-term assets. We're going to buy long-term assets. Do we use debt to pay for long-term assets? And I want a yes or no. I'm going to run down the line.
So the question,
Issue debt for long-term assets, yes or no?
no.
Yes.
Got a yes.
No.
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 No. Okay. All right.
No, and no.
Okay, well, all right. So now we know. And one yes. Let's go. We're going to start. Tim, I'm going to start with you with closing remarks. All right. Now we got 2 minutes on this. Watch our timer. She gets very angry. No, she's a sweetheart. But Tim, we go to you. Why should the voters of Stafford select you as the next council member?
First of all, I want to thank you, Mr. Bro and Rebecca and the Fort Bend Chamber of Commerce for putting on this a great event to allow our citizens the opportunity to listen to the candidates and make a decision, an informed decision about who they feel will best fulfill the needs they want represented on City Council. I feel grateful to be up here tonight. I'm grateful, first of all, to my wife for supporting me unfailingly, for my children for tolerating sometimes my absence so that I can be out on the campaign trail, meeting the residents, and having the opportunity to get to know you and to listen. I bring to the table 9 years of experience educating youth, listening, learning, and connecting with people. I bring 4 years of practical financial experience where I had an opportunity to, again, listen with empathy and help people, give them the tools to get themselves out of debt, to improve their situation. I want to improve the communication between our council and our community. I'm committed to being available and willing to listen, to showing up in neighborhoods, and not just to tout the things that we're doing, but to listen to your legitimate concerns and finding creative solutions to fulfill those needs that we have without burdening our residents with a property tax. You have my commitment. I will not increase the burden on our residents. I understand what a struggle it is. As a young homeowner, as a husband, as a father, we need those hard-earned dollars. We've got to find other ways, creative ways, to raise the revenue, to do right by our citizens. We shouldn't leave other people behind. Just because my station is good doesn't mean all is well in Stafford. Yes, I love this city. I'm proud of what it's accomplished. I'm proud of our municipal school district. I've put my blood, sweat, and tears on the line for this school district, for this city, and I'm willing to step up and serve this community. Please vote for Tim Wood, Position 6, Stafford City Council. TimWood.org is where you can find more about my platform.
Thank you, Tim. Matthew.
Based on my education and legal experience and other things, people should select me. Currently I am serving the city as a planning and zoning commissioner. I have 3 years experience with the city and 4 years experience with the Promenade Homeowners Association. I am serving the community and the city. At the same time, I am a faculty, teaching experience more than 10 years, and practicing experience more than 25 years. I am married for 37 years. I have children and 4 grandchildren. I live in the city from 2014 onwards. Before I moved to this city, I was in Houston. More than 25 years I am in Houston and Stafford area. I am willing to hear from the people, and I want to bring the issues to the city and talk about the matters and stand for the genuine reasons. That's why I am running for this election. Please vote for me. My name is Matthew Vairaman. I am running for the position number 6, Stafford City Council. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. AJ.
Great. This is a 2-minute question, right?
No, it's a very short question. It's a 2-minute answer.
Oh, 2-minute answer, 2-minute answer. Absolutely right.
Yeah.
I'm going to take my first minute to expound on the last question because it was a very short answer, which was yes. And what that shows is that I'm the only one up here that really understands financial management, because my son just bought a house. If I told my son, you need to wait until you can raise $225,000 before you buy a house, which is a long-term asset, what kind of response would that be to my son? I think we all understand that concept. And it's the same thing. Why would I tell my residents that you're flooding, you have drainage problems, we don't have the funds to take care of it, but what we do is we go find a way to create revenue that's sustaining revenue, then we take that revenue and leverage it in a way using long-term debt in order to go fix those problems for our residents so they can live the way that they need to live. That's a very simple concept. That's why we use long-term debt to take care of long-term assets. And as a banker, I have handled over $5 billion of non-tax bonds, which is long-term debt. So I understand the concept of what cities need in order to fix problems. But we can't go issue debt if we don't have a revenue stream to pay for it. And that's what we did. I only have 30 seconds left. So I'm going to go ahead and move to my closing statement. AJ Honore, running for City Council, position number 2. A few years ago, a strategist told me that ethics will only hold you back. And he went on to tell me that the worst thing is that people who have things in mind that's not good will get ahead of you if you live by ethics. I choose to live by ethics. And whatever happens in this election, I'll be satisfied with that because my response to the citizens will always be based on ethics, not political convenience. Thank you. And I ask for your vote for City Council, position number 2.
Thank you, sir. Jason, your closing.
Oh, yes, sir. I would just like to say you don't get out of debt by taking on debt. That's not fiscally responsible. Either way, my name is Jason Mejorado. As I've said before, I served 10 years in the United States Marine Corps. I moved my way up the ranks. I'm a proven leader. I led Marines not only in garrison, but on the combat field. I've taken that knowledge and that training that I've received, some of the best training you actually can receive on how to be a leader, and I plan to implement that into Stafford City Council to bring leadership that it seems that this city needs. There's a lot of bickering. We need to all be on the same path, and I feel that I am, as a leader and as a man, I am capable and willing and able to do that. So that is the reason I'm here. That's the reason I'm running, and look forward to seeing you all at the polls. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Virginia, your closing statement.
Thank you. So I'm just going to have to use a couple of seconds to respond to that last statement, because you can't possibly go long-term debt. You buy a fire truck that only has a lifespan of so long, and you've financed it for 50 years. That truck is going to be sitting here rusting and not be usable with that, so I'm just leaving that alone. So it is a long-term asset. Anyway, my Stafford family. Although I was not successful in my last year's election, I did not disappear to reappear in time for this year's election. I have remained visible and committed to you. I was appointed to the Planning and Zoning Commission in a partnership with Adam Sanchez, we created a On the Scene podcast on the YouTube channel, which highlighted mom and pop businesses in our community. Our efforts were to highlight people, places, and things that have kept Stafford united and strong. To my surprise, the city of Stafford is now currently following the format Adam and I created to highlight Stafford businesses. I continue to believe that we are the greatest 7 square miles in Fort Bend County and will serve and will continue to serve with the highest degree of character, integrity, ethics, and honor. And you can see that through my past history in serving on all the different committees, the 4th of July, Mayor Pro Tem, the IT Committee, the Humane Committee, the Comprehensive Plan Committee. So all that comes together with how much that I've grown serving you, and I know that that I will continue to do the job with the highest degree of character and give you the most I can give you, the best I can do with your vote. So I'm asking for your vote, Virginia Rosas, for position number 2.
Thank you, ma'am. Xavier.
Thank you very much, Chris, and I definitely want to appreciate you for what you've done today. And I know it's been a long, long day that you've had earlier on, and you've got one more slate of candidates to go ahead and visit with. I want to thank Stafford METV for televising this event, the Fort Bend Chamber of Commerce as a whole for hosting this, and most importantly, you, the viewing audience, for being here today. We spent quite some time tonight discussing our qualifications and motivations for seeking public office. I appreciate each and every one of you and your time and consideration. We have all talked a bit about our vision for the city, but I want to end by talking about why I'm running for re-election. I'm running because I believe in our city. I'm running because Stafford is my home. I believe in our people. I believe that together we can make our city the best place to live, work, and raise a family. I'm asking your vote because I believe I'm the best candidate to help lead our city on council. I commit that I will work with our community members to find solutions to their continuous ongoing issues and new issues. I commit to you that I will go ahead and support our department heads and seek ways that we can go ahead and provide them what's needed to help best elevate our community. I have the experience, the knowledge, and the passion to make our city a better place, and I humbly ask for your vote so that I can be your advocate on council. I hope you will join with me in making our city a better place. My name is Xavier Herrera, and remember, when scrolling down your ballot to City Council position number 5, X marks the spot. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you very much. Candidates, I appreciate you being here. I know the city of Stafford appreciates you being here, and all the residents for putting your hat in the ring and putting up with me, but this is the light stuff. You'll get into council. You'll do great. I appreciate you guys running. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give them a round of applause. Thank you very much. Yeah, they're.
I really think, though, Chris, if you allow me, you're talking about point of personal privilege the last round. I think we need to give the viewing audience and these folks that have been here for quite a while an applause for what they've done. So thank you very much for being here and dealing with us.
Well, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are here now at our Stafford Municipal School District Trustee Election Section. We have with us in studio on stage here Mr. Edward Rector, who's running for position number 6, and he's going to spend a little time and tell you about himself.
Thank you. Thank you. First of all, thank you for Fort Bend Chamber for allowing me to come here and talk to the people, citizens of Stafford, why I should be the school board position number 6. Thank you very much. Thank you. I'm kind of nervous, but I'm okay. My name is Edward Rector. I'm running for school board trustee position number 6. I'm originally from Houston. I grew up in Houston. I moved to Fort Bend County. I'm sorry. After graduation from high school, I went to Sam Houston State University. After continuing education at Sam Houston State University, I moved back to Houston. I attended the University of Houston Police Academy. After completing the police academy, I began my employment in Harris County Precinct 7, as a truancy officer. My duties as a truancy officer, where I talk to the parents and the kids in regarding truancy and attendance. During that time as a truancy officer, I also did community service, help the parents and the student with whatever information that they need to get the kid back on track, get his attendance back up. As a deputy constable, I was also a DARE program, which DARE program is Drug Abuse Resistant Education. The definition for DARE is an educational program that seeks to prevent the use of students from using controlled substance, joining gangs, and that has violent behavior. I did DARE for a year and a half, and I was a truancy officer for 2 years. And I enjoy working with the students and working with the parents. Also, as continuing my education, I received numerous credentials as a peace officer. I also have a master's peace officer in law enforcement. Also, I have a certificate, DRE, which is drug recognition. Also, I have other credentials of crime prevention, talk to the parents about safety in their home and other information that they need to be safe, whether they're at home or in a vehicle or in other places. Also, I'm a business owner. I have a after-school program, the Youth and After School Program Learning Center. I've been having that program I'm the founder of Youth and After School Program. I've been having that program for 15 years. I'm a current resident of Stafford, and I have a business in Stafford. I'm a patrol deputy for Fort Bend County, Fort Bend County Precinct 2. I enjoy working with the public. I believe in community service, giving back to our community. Also, Youth and After School Program offers different activities for students. We offer free tutoring. We offer learning sessions that would help them to get through school and graduate and be productive citizens in the city of Stafford. Also, using the after-school program, Learning Center has their own basketball activities. And that's still part of my program, using the after-school program, give back to the community, because I believe in giving back to our community. Also, I do community service in Stafford. On weekends, every other weekend, I volunteer with the Youth and Food Bank and pass out food to the citizens of Stafford, whoever needs it. And I enjoy the work that I do. As I would like for that opportunity to continue to do public service for the city of Stafford and Fort Bend County. Stafford schools are the backbone to our community. I will continue to serve our students and community. I will be dedicated to keeping our schools and safe assurance education needs are being met. My name is Edward Rector for Stafford MSD School Board Trustee, position number 6. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rector. Let's give Mr. Rector a round of applause. Mr. Sanchez, who I guess is also running for 6, could not be here tonight, but we do want to congratulate him and his fiancee on the birth of their baby this week. So we're going to give him a pass. Okay. Thank you, sir. Next up for position number 6 is a write-in candidate, Greg Holzapple. And I hope okay, good, he can hear me, all right. You pick it, sir. How about that one right there?
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Good evening. My name is Greg Holzapple, and I am a write-in candidate for election to the Stafford Municipal School District Trustees, position number 6. I served as an SMSD Board Trustee for a total of 25 years and have lived in Stafford for 45 years. My 3 children attended and graduated from MSD. Many of you know me or recognize my name. As a write-in candidate, I will not appear on the printed ballot. However, if you will look under Stafford MSD Board Position 6 on the ballot, you will be able to check the write-in box and enter the name Greg Holzapple. That's GREG HOLSAPPLE, and your vote will count for me. SMSD Superintendent Dr. Robert Bostic is one of the best superintendents that I've had the pleasure to be associated with. Our district is in good hands under his innovative leadership. Our district is more than adequately financial shape per state expectations, but would be much better had it not been for COVID-19 and its related expense and closures. The district's fund balance, that is to say the savings account, has dropped and needs to be replenished. Although we have record high enrollment of 3,573 students, which has continued to increase, we now, 3,573 is right. We started off thinking we were going to have 3,453 and budgeted for that. The pandemic, higher operating costs, and lower attendance during the lack of campus instruction required pulling money out of fund balance to supplement the budget. The need for higher operating costs will continue. SMSD needs more students to generate more revenue. Student attendance equals state revenue. Unfortunately, these are the laws of the state of Texas. The legislature is still meeting, and who knows what they're going to come up with by the time that they're out of there. SMSD's relationship with the city has never been stronger. Stafford, we are one. As we continue district operating enhancements, SMSD will reach A ratings with the state. The STEM Magnet School was the first campus to reach that A rating this year. The goal is an A rating for every stamp, for every campus, every year. I believe that 100% of SMSD students should graduate with their HCC associate's degree or be college and career ready without remediation. I strongly support increased campus security and safety. I support balanced budget and low taxes. I support parents' rights to know about their kids' education and their health. Parents should be engaged in all aspects of their children's education. Our students' security and safety are of the utmost importance to us, and we're proud to have the Stafford Police Department there every day with officers on hand. We want our children to be safe. We want our staff to be safe. We are concentrating on the best education for our students. We are always looking for new and innovative methods and programs to educate our children. When we say programs, we mean new coursework, improvement on coursework, and we want rigorous studies. All children do not learn alike. We want our children to have the opportunity to choose if they want to go through college education or go directly into the workforce. It's hard to pass up on a free associate's degree from HCC while still in high school. Think of the money that saves the parents or the children, whoever is financing their education. We offer students exposure to careers through our College and Career Technology Center. What a success. Our students are able to learn about agriculture, audiovisual technology, business management, education, health science, hospitality, IT, marketing, science, auto repair, you name it. Our hospitality students learn to prepare meals in a first-class kitchen under professional chefs. They also do catering, and they will have the skills to run or operate a business should they choose to serve so. Like I said, I have 25 years of experience on the board. I have always worked in the best interest of our students. Some other of my background is I have a Bachelor of Science degree from University of Houston. I have over 40 years of IT and business administration experience, and that lends itself quite nicely to work on the school board. The school board is not a job for the faint of heart. You have to have dedication. You have to want to strive to be better. You have to be there for your students and your staff. All too often, we just talk about teachers and teacher salary. We also have to bear in mind the other part of the district, our bus drivers, our janitorial staff, the people in the office, the people that make school happen. If we didn't have those people and we didn't pay those people well, we wouldn't be able to have schools, so they are very important. Again, please write in Greg Holzapple for position 6. Again, the name is spelled Gregholsapple. Thank you very much for inviting me tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Holzapple. Well, thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight at the Candidates Forum. And please be sure to vote, and vote early. I have been told not to say vote often, so I won't. The important election dates, early voting is April 24th through May 2nd, and Election Day is May 6th. A good democracy depends on an educated workforce and an educated populace. So I'm glad that you've been out here. I'm glad that you've learned about the candidates, and we look forward to a wonderful year after this election. We have some upcoming events. The 2023 Fort Bend Health and Wellness Expo is Thursday, May 4th from 4 to 7 o'clock at the Missouri City Community Center. We thank you, and we hope everyone has enjoyed the forum tonight. Good night.